Good afternoon, esteemed guests. I'm Serish Mustafa, Executive Officer of Karachi Council on Foreign Relations. Leadership is an expression that is often not grasped in its full canvas. A true leader is visionary, practical, inspiring, and an avid team builder, to name a few aspects. Today, we are gathered here for a dialogue with future leaders, aiming to bridge the generational gap, understand next generation's perspectives, and inspire collaborative solutions. Our agenda includes insightful discussions featuring representatives of Generation Z who will share their ideas about how they perceive the future ought to be handled. Thereafter, we expect some guests, some experts who have established themselves in varying leadership positions to offer reflections and share their experiences. This intergenerational exchange is designed to develop mutual understanding and address contemporary challenges through diverse viewpoints, possibly leading to shared solutions. Before we formally start, I would like to announce that we have a doctor available on the premises. So, if you have any medical emergency, you can tell organizers. Secondly, in case of any other emergencies like earthquake or fire, you have two exit doors, and please assemble in the lawn outside. So, to commence our program, let us begin with a few verses from the Holy Quran. الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Please everyone rise for the national anthem of Pakistan. About Karachi Council on Foreign Relations. KCFR was established in 2003. It has been a leading think tank in Karachi dedicated to enhancing Pakistan's global image by addressing gaps in foreign relations, nurturing investment, and promoting cultural and economic diplomacy. This event is organized by Pathfinder Group and the Providencia Books Foundation. Providencia Books Foundation is a non-profit organization committed to promoting a passion for reading and learning among underprivileged children. The foundation connects book donors with individuals seeking educational materials, facilitating the donation and distribution process. Collaborating with publishers and other non-profits, Providencia Books distributes books to the schools in underserved communities, aiming to bridge the literacy gap and empowering children through education. In a brief period, the foundation has collected 63,652 books and distributed 61,643 books across 5 cities of Pakistan. And now the organizer, the host, Pathfinder Group. Pathfinder Group stands as Pakistan's largest provider of integrated security services, employing approximately 12,000 individuals across over 75 cities and towns nationwide. The group's security services division comprises the country's two largest private security companies, Security and Management Services, SMS Private Limited, and Wakenhead Private Limited. Expanding beyond security, Pathfinder's financial services division includes Virtual Remittances Gateway VRG Limited and iPath Private Limited, with additional related companies currently under incorporation. Pathfinder Group demonstrates a strong commitment to corporate social responsibility through various initiatives. Please read the newsletter by your side so that you can get the full picture about the activities of the group. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the co-chairman of the Pathfinder Group and Veteran-in-Chief of the Karachi Council on Foreign Relations. He is a distinguished figure in Pakistan defense and business sectors beyond his internationally recognized entrepreneurial achievements. Mr. Sehgal is a prolific writer and commentator, contributing regularly to national and international publications. He also served on various esteemed platforms, including the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda, Council on Counter-Terrorism, and the East-West Institute. His unwavering commitment to national security and international relations continues to inspire many. Please welcome co-chairman of the Pathfinder Group, Mr. Ikram Sehgal. Please, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Sarish. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I would like to name many people, but I would like to first thank Minori for having arranged this at short notice and having arranged during Ramzan. But I thought this is a good enough place to be during Ramzan, and so we could not only learn from each other but also ask. Today I am very lucky in many ways. Other than you, one of the most important persons in my life, my daughter-in-law. Sometimes we call her daughter-in-law, but mostly she's my daughter. Kashmala is here, the mother of Mani. And I'm very grateful that she could fly in earlier to the rest of the family to be here. It is not easy to set out on a course like this, but you keep on learning. And one of the things we learned, and which we are actively now pursuing, and in many fields in this thing, is that we are thinking about a virtual leadership academy, and we are going to take the help of we're going to take the help of a lot of universities and professors and people to get into this, be with us. Because I think if you look at Pakistan today, and if I were to talk about what we've done, our young people have done in Pakistan, I would be beating my own drum and I will not do it. But the point is, I know that there is nobody who can compete against the Pakistani youth, provided the right leadership is there. So tomorrow, you are tomorrow's leaders. The youth of today are tomorrow's leaders. And it is incumbent upon us who have lived our lives to at least give something back, to ensure that all the problems that we are having today, which stem only from inefficient, weak, corrupt leadership, not confined to one government or this thing, confined over the decades on various places. So you cannot single out anybody. The problem is how to correct it. And the way to correct it is dialogue. Dialogue with each other, dialogue from outside, learn from experiences. I was yesterday at another iftari of my company, and one of the top people, lecturers on leadership was there, and I could sense the feelings there. So let's do something new. One of the things, if you pick up the newsletter, please pick up the newsletter in front of you and try to read it. Try to read it. It's the first newsletter in Roman. Most of our people are illiterate, and if they're not illiterate, they cannot read and write Urdu properly. So we said, okay, let's go to what TikTok does, right? Right? Let's out TikTok, right? So we said, okay, let's have a Roman Urdu newsletter. And this Roman Urdu newsletter is the first of its kind. We're proud of this. And Sarish, you and all of your team, and all these people who produce this should be proud of this. This is a wonderful thing. So, without further ado, and I've spoken a lot, and inshallah, I hope you enjoy this session. I hope you take something back. And not to take something back, give something back to us. Give something back to us in the form of advice and suggestions, right? So, I tried to get my favorite person to give a speech, but she flatly refused. She said, I'll run away. So, I will end on that note. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now let me introduce the visionary behind the significant dialogue, Air Commodore Khalid Banoori. He is a distinguished professional with 4 decades of highly diverse public service experience. His expertise encompasses bilateral and multilateral state negotiations, policy analysis in areas such as nuclear and missile non-proliferation, missile defense, strategic export controls, chemical and biological control, space issues, and international law. In addition to his policy work, he has contributed to academia through postgraduate teaching at 4 public sector universities. A common strand between Ikram Sehgal and Khalid Banoori is their being aviators. Thus, the commonality of their diverse interests is perhaps understandable. Please welcome Air Commodore Khalid Banoori for the opening remarks.
Thank you, Sarish, for, as always, a very generous introduction. बहुत सारी बातें करने वाली हैं, but I just want to look at the first takeaways that I have from what has happened thus far. I think of the Pathfinder, and as I always do, I will remind everyone that this notion of Pathfinders actually came out of Second World War, where those people who would actually guide the way in various ways, and then you had to look around. That is one. The other thing that you see here, empowering challenge into opportunity. So Pathfinder Challenge is this series of these talks, and that is the objective is about putting it into opportunity. The story that we heard about these professions is a story of diversity, of empowerment, of innovation. If this is not leadership, what is? That's the thing that we should think about. So I just want to take a few minutes to randomly talk about a few things. Some perhaps other than those little straight inscriptions, some of the stuff is directly taken from the internet, which might be familiar to some of you. It does not matter. What matters is what you will notice and what you will not notice. So let's begin with something that we can actually look at in more than one ways. The ball game, that's my favorite. And let's just go through this and see what is this game.
The monkey business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball.
Any thoughts? There are different numbers. The ones wearing white shirts. So I hear 14, I hear 15, I hear 17. All right, let's go a little. Anything else that you guys noticed? G? The gorilla game in past. How many of you have seen one? Just a few, right? Anything else? So the number of blacks were different. Any other movement? Let's review.
The correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half missed the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Here comes the gorilla, and there goes a player, and the curtain is changing from red to gold. When you're looking for a gorilla, you often miss other unexpected events.
What does that got to do with leadership? Is something that we think about. Is there a leadership lesson in this? Focus, mindfulness, things which are human traits. And as we go along, you will hear more about these from various people from varying experiences. So I'm wondering what kind of traits both teams will present to us, and those who are from other universities, maybe we can ask them as well about something. And basically, the Zoomers, the Gen Z is what we are focusing on, born 1997 to 2012, this bracket. And how are they different? Are they different? Probably. Aren't they ill-organized? Don't they get bored very easily? I noticed that in the class every other day. Aren't they restless? Absolutely. And can they do the job? That's what we want to find out. That's where we need to understand your generation. And that's where the generations need a dialogue amongst us. Digital natives is fine. Laptops may be an obsolete technology for you, that's fine too. But how do we take things forward is something that there's a commonality. You heard Ikram Saab talking about this learning can go beyond ages, and this cuts both ways. Both kind of learning can happen. So can we do something about it? You are familiar with these kind of words, pedagogy, andragogy, anagogy? And one of the things that he mentioned was through this dialogue. The higher aim, the spiritual side of it, is the dialogue from within. And of course, the other is about learning. Pedagogy is what you do what you have done in your schools. You hear lectures, you get tested. And then andragogy is something that continues to happen by people who are fine professionals. When they come and discuss or hear these things, they are looking at the next step of how to use new skills, new attributes, new knowledge in their own ways. So some of those ideas is something that we want to think about. What really works is we are wondering about. So this is our idea of focus. I think what we want to do is we acknowledge that their generations are different. They think differently. Boomers think differently. Boomers are generally the decision makers that we have. Millennials are mostly the trainers. Some of you who are students have your trainers here. And then Gen Z, and now since 1st of January 2025, Gen Beta is being born. How are they going to be? How different they are? They are views that exist. Do we know them, and can we use them to strengthen our collective efforts? These are the kind of things that we want to talk about. So we thought that this is the best thing to have to actually start with trying to understand how you look at these traits. And when you tell us whatever you want to tell us, and the sky's the limit, then perhaps we will have other experts to comment on this and say, if this is what you want to do, and if they have any reactions to it, of course they will give that. But if this is what you want to do, what kind of trainings are needed now so that you are ready and to make lesser mistakes than our generations. So that's the whole idea of it. There's a very interesting book called Generation Y, How Boomers Can Lead and Learn from Millennials and Gen Z. Professor Carl Moore himself is a boomer, a professor, Canadian professor, who's written this book, which basically says this cuts both ways, and we can learn from them as well. But also to basically kind of bring out a caution is the idea of the information overload that exists in our world today. You have a lot of information on your hands. I love to tell this story in which I happened to mention it to a Gen Z about a soft launch of a restaurant in Islamabad. And within seconds, this person said, "Nahi chalega." I said, "This is a soft launch, it hasn't been launched as yet, and how are you giving a decision?" And she says, "Look, nobody's talking about it. A soft launch has happened, nobody's talking about it, nahi chalega." The people with best of intentions ran this restaurant for like a few weeks, and then they had to wrap it up because it didn't work. Because the connectivity with the target audiences did not exist. Perhaps that was it. So some of those ideas are what we want to understand. So when we have information overload, what can our generation help you with? To perhaps sift something so that you speedily trash out what you don't really need to focus much on, and focus on what is going to help. But it also cuts both ways, and that is why we want to understand how your generations work. So these are the kind of questions we told these teams. We have two teams today, Team QAU and Team Area University. What attributes are needed for your generation to be effective future leaders? 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I happen to be visiting faculty on some places in which I, on and off, teach courses. And every time I would ask them to give something to me in writing, as one of the three questions that I ask is, where do you actually want yourself 10 years from now? And most of the answers that I used to get, fortunately lesser now, are saying, too long, 10 years, koi pata nahi 2 saal baad kya hoga. Now those answers are gradually changing. And yet some people still think too long, too fluid a situation, what will happen, we don't know. So unless you set targets and set goals, it won't go in that direction. These are the kind of things we do. I also talked about a laundry list of, are these the things that we want to talk about? Are these the skills of the human attributes that we want to talk about? Any of these or others? And are there more ideas that one can add to it? All this or others is something. So, Team QAU and Team Air University, I'll be watching any of these or other ideas that you bring out. So let's see if that is what can happen. This is what we have today for today's program. We have special remarks, which is a recorded message. Please pay attention to the kind of signals that you get out of that and see how you want to think about them later. And then we go to your presentations. We will have the reactions that we will be from three people. Youngest millennial, regular millennial, and a boomer who will comment but also provide ideas about which way we are going to go. And then basically we will go in that direction. Once we have that, then we'll have interventions from the floor, and I will take the liberty to call out on some people that I happen to know to get their reactions. They are young people who think about these things. They are not from those universities. They are parents, and they, of course, any interested person who can then participate. This is what we will have. And once we have done that, then we'll have a very special keynote from a person who's been in there and has helped people grow for years. So that's the kind of environment that you have today. I don't want to stand between you and the rest of that situation. So there you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for this extensive background and thoughtful perspectives, and you have set a meaningful tone for our discussions. So, may I request you to kindly join me in co-hosting the remaining proceedings, please, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to play the recorded message of a keynote speaker, that is Dr. Moeed Yusuf. He is the Vice Chancellor of the Beacon House National University. He is a distinguished scholar, policy maker, and author. He is recognized as one of the leading scholars of his generation, as he has made significant contributions to the field of political science and international relations through his academic and policy work. During his career, he has held many influential leadership roles, most notably serving as Pakistan's youngest national security advisor, and that was to Prime Minister Imran Khan. Dr. Yusuf is also the youngest vice chancellor of the university, and it is the first time in the Pakistan history. So let us hear together what he has to say to this specific audience.
Assalamualaikum ji, my name is Moeed Yusuf. I am the Vice Chancellor of Beacon House National University. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to speak to you briefly today. मैं दो तीन चीज़ें कहूँगा. मुझे गाइड किया गया था कि there are going to be Gen Z in the room, some senior experienced minds in the room, and the conversation is going to be on leadership. So being at a university dealing with 3,000 plus students who I have here at BNU every day, I'll say a few things to you. Number one, मेरा इख्तिलाफ शुरू यहाँ से होता है जब हम बात करते हैं स्किल सेट फॉर द फ्यूचर. स्किल सेट्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली पाकिस्तान में डिफाइन हो गया है एज वोकेशनल. तो वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग की अपनी जगह है, बहुत ज़रूरी है. The number of people we have in Pakistan, the youth, हम सारों को एजुकेट नहीं कर सकते टर्शियरी लेवल पे यूनिवर्सिटीज में, तो वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग करनी चाहिए. लेकिन जहाँ हम एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं, हायर एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं, वहाँ पे यूनिवर्सिटीज का काम सिर्फ स्किल प्रोड्यूस करना नहीं है. पाकिस्तान का सबसे बड़ा मसला इस वक्त ये है that we have gotten stuck at the lowest end of the value chain in every sector. आप टेक्सटाइल देख रहे हैं, हम 50 साल पहले कपड़ा बना रहे थे, आज भी वही काम कर रहे हैं. कोई इंजीनियरिटी नहीं है, कोई इनोवेशन नहीं है. बांग्लादेश कहाँ पहुँच गया, वियतनाम कहाँ पहुँच गया. बिल्कुल यही प्रॉब्लम. आज हम आईटी कर रहे हैं, बट इफ यू लुक एट द आईटी इंडस्ट्री, जब दुनिया में बाकी तमाम मुल्कों को बिजनेस मिल जाती है, जो बिल्कुल लो एंड काम है, बैक एंड सपोर्ट, कोडिंग, वो चीजें पाकिस्तान आ रही है. And unfortunately, हमने अपनी ambition को भी इतना कम कर लिया है कि I meet students and parents and they say ये बंदा वो डॉलर में कमा रहा है, फ्रीलांसिंग कर रहा है. What's the innovation? 10 साल के अंदर, please understand, दो चीजें होने वाली. Number one, AI, artificial intelligence, is going to wipe out all simple mechanical tasks. तो वो काम तो humans कर ही नहीं रहे होंगे जो हम ट्रेन करते हैं students को as or youth को as linear mechanics. दूसरा, ये जो दुनिया में इस वक्त ट्रेंड है ऑफ इमिग्रेशन, उसमें एक तरफ पाकिस्तान से लोग छोड़ के जाना चाह रहे हैं यंगस्टर्स, दूसरी तरफ there's a strong anti immigration push. So पाकिस्तान से 0.01% के अलावा लोग बाहर अल्टीमेटली नहीं जा सकेंगे from the next generation. So what we need to do is think of these young men and women as leaders, as innovators, as change agents. ये बड़े बड़े लफ्ज हैं, ठीक है, हम कह सकते हैं क्लीशे वर्ड्स हैं, लेकिन आपको एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ. अगर आपका एजुकेशन सिस्टम सिर्फ और सिर्फ लीनियर थिंकिंग, रोट मेमोराइजेशन और स्किल देगा, अगर यूनिवर्सिटी ग्रेजुएट भी वही काम कर सकेगा जो एक वोकेशनली ट्रेन्ड स्टूडेंट कर सकता है, अगर उसकी भी इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स वही होंगी जो एक ऐसे शख्स की जो यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं गया होंगी, तो आपको कोई फ्यूचर में एम्प्लॉयमेंट के प्रोस्पेक्ट्स नहीं मिलेंगे, बिकॉज AI is going to do all of this for you. What you need to do is encourage entrepreneurship, encourage the model of education जो आपको प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग सिखाता है, क्रिएटिविटी सिखाता है। इसीलिए दुनिया ने स्टेम की बात की और फिर स्टीम पे चले गए। अब उसमें आर्ट्स का एक क्यों डाला है? इसलिए that everybody is realize, आप रिपोर्ट देखिए अभी जो वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की है, फ्यूचर ऑफ जॉब्स की रिपोर्ट, what are they saying? They are saying कि analytical skills, creative minds, creativity and mentors and tutors, that's what the world will need in the future. So when you talk about skill sets, please understand it has to be intellectual skill sets, not simply vocational. That would be my key message to those who are now the experienced minds who are trying to change the direction of the youth. दूसरी चीज मैं quickly आपको बता दूं, जो generational gap है, again something I see every day, वो ये है कि we feel कि this new generation is very different. It's entitled, it's not hardworking, ये disciplined नहीं है, तो आगे क्या होगा? What I want to tell you is कि ये generational gap रहेगा, मेरे जैसे लोग और मेरे से जो एक generation ऊपर है, हमें ये चीज तंग करती रहेगी. But these Gen Z and Gen Alphas know how to interact with each other. तो जब ये खुद मैनेजर्स और लीडर्स बनेंगे, they will be perfectly fine dealing with their own generation. We shouldn't look for the old sort of discipline in them. We shouldn't look for the respect that we demand. What we should do is harness their potential to think out of the box, to become self-employed people who are entrepreneurs, who can think beyond डॉक्टर बन के, इंजीनियर बन के, लॉयर बन के, वो दुनिया खत्म हो जाएगी। उसके लिए हमें the elders, we have to show patience. We have to allow them to take their own path. ये बहस के बगैर आपकी बात नहीं मानेंगे, तो इनसे लॉजिक की बात करनी होगी। For the Gen Z, I want to say, do not discount experience. बिल्कुल आप अपनी पास चार्ट करें, डॉक्टर, लॉयर, सेल्स नहीं बनना, बहुत सी और ऑप्शंस है आपके पास. Find that out of the box solution for you. But do not discount the fact कि आपको maturity आएगी experienced mind से बात करके. So ये वो combination है जो हमने create करना है. अभी मुझे पाकिस्तान में problem ये नजर आती है कि the elder generation is trying to mold the younger generation into their image, and the younger generation does not want to do that, but is not getting the guidance to become something else. So I would just say that when you talk about the future, talk about making sure कि जो education है for vocational people, it's vocational. For others, they have to become leaders, thinkers, creators, entrepreneurs. They can't be vocational. वरना हमारे मुल्क की इकोनॉमी उसी lowest end पे रहेगी वैल्यू चेन के जो अभी है. हमारी आज 40 बिलियन है, हमारे साथ वाले मुल्कों की 200-400 बिलियन है. वो वही रहेगा अगर ये प्रॉब्लम हम रिजॉल्व नहीं करेंगे, इंक्लूडिंग द IT सेक्टर जिनकी हम कितनी बात करते हैं. So let's start a conversation with the Gen Z, and Gen Z, please be open to a conversation. Don't think that because you have Google or ChatGPT, you know everything. Last point मैं ये कहूँगा for the Gen Z, आपकी जनरेशन में जो मुझे प्रॉब्लम नजर आता है वो ये है कि आप कंफ्लेट करते हैं इंफॉर्मेशन को नॉलेज. Information, you are the most informed generation ever to walk this earth because you have Google, you have your phones and everything else. Knowledge की definition है to be able to transform that information into practical problem solving. ये काम दो तरह से आएगा. By having a learning process जिसमें आपका mind open होगा, by working hard towards it, hard work के बगैर गुजारा दुनिया में नहीं होगा चाहे जो मर्जी हो जाए, and learning from experience. ये तीन चीजें जब combine होंगी, तो then you will be able to produce the results that you want. I thank the organizer again. Thank you very much. I wish I could be there in flesh, but we'll do with this without this.
That was a very thought-provoking message from Dr. Umaid Yusuf. And now, let us hear together what Generation Z thinks of the future. And I would like to invite Air Commodore Khalid Banuri to join us on the stage as well. Please, sir. Aina Zafar, Muskan Mozam, Minahil Shahid, and Farina Abbas.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and good evening, good afternoon, sorry. My name is Muskan Muazzam. and we're here to represent Team Dialouge. So today, as we are assigned to talk about the leadership straight coming from the Gen Z lens, I would like Anna to ask that why do we need leaders today?
We need leaders because of various reasons. Number one, they provide us with direction. Number two, they provide us with a vision. And number three, most important thing is they unite people for a single cause. So what's your take on it?
I believe that leadership is basically, it is often being confused with the power. And leadership only exists if people follow when they have the freedom to follow. Otherwise, it's power, and power is not leadership. So basically, leadership is not a rank, it is not a position, it is a decision and a choice, an informed choice that a person is making at, and I believe that everyone over here is a leader at an individual level, at one place or another. Everyone leads. So this is basically what I feel.
Right. Let's just envision a world 20 years from now. The world will be dominated by AI. Colonization will be the next big thing, and virtual reality will be everywhere. So, in such a world, a leader will need to develop new skills to tackle all of these issues and to tackle all of this situation.
I believe that these are not just the words, these are the vibe check for everyone to stepping up the lead. Leadership isn't about the corner office or a loud voice, it is owing responsibility to guide, to inspire, and to lift others. So, let's break down the word leadership coming from the Gen Z lens, basically. So I believe that responsible citizenship and the core values such as honesty, integrity, these are the core values which define your character, which ultimately leads to the true essence of the leadership. One of the major attributes is the strategic foresight. It's basically seeing the bigger picture. So for the Gen Z, they are very practical in their approach. They know okay what is gonna come. They are not thinking today. They are thinking for the coming 10 years. So the great leaders, they just don't swipe up through the today's drama. They zoom in. They see that what's coming. So the strategic foresight is about thinking ahead, catching trends, and prepping for the curveball before they are being hit.
And I think the most important attribute is inclusive leadership. A leader cannot work solo. He needs a team, and so in order to work in a cooperative environment, he needs a team from various backgrounds to tackle all of these issues that I mentioned earlier. As we envision a world with multiple, so to tackle all of that issues, inclusive leadership is required.
Then we have the psychological resilience. So for the current Gen Z, what is the most important attribute is how they are dealing with the mental traumas and the psychologically how they are dealing. So leading is like, it's not a chill playlist, it's a pressure, a shade and a flaw. And psychological resilience is what keeps a leader steady when the leader is being hit by the situation or a fact. So it's about bouncing back, it's about learning fast and hyping up the crew to push through.
First of all, Manahil, thank you for this beautiful slide. Secondly, next point is emotional intelligence. So, emotional intelligence is the most important aspect that a leader must possess, because in the future world we will see that AI will take over, and to counterbalance that AI factor, a leader will have to play a humanizing role. So there he will need his intelligence, emotional intelligence. Moreover, in order to connect with people around the world, he will have to tap into the human emotions, and for that again, emotional intelligence is an important aspect, an attribute that a leader must possess in the future.
Moving forward, in the world of Snapchat filters, the Gen Z is all about they're taking Snapchat filters and Instagram, but simultaneously they love to stay real. So authenticity, what I think is really important. Like they can smell the fake thing, like fake mask miles off. So Gen Z does not vibe with the polished mask, and they just want to stay authentic, and they appreciate that.
Okay, we also need adoptable. Wait. Adoptable. We also need adaptability in our leader, because in the future we will see that technology, emerging technology, the trends are shifting. The trends will be shifting. Meme culture, emerging technologies, and virtual reality. All of these things will be quickly and rapidly advancing. So in such situation, a leader will have to adapt swiftly. He will have to deal with all of these things that are coming his way in a swift manner. So there he will need this attribute.
Then we have social responsibilities, which means that leading more than for, coming for the likes, more than likes. So we're like not about selfish wins. The Gen Z cares about the planet, the rights, and the undergo. Leaders get a step up, not a side step, but they are pushing towards the sustainability. So yeah.
Over to Manahil and Farina.
The first point I'll discuss is about vision and empowerment. Vision is not just a dream, it's a clear roadmap. A leader should know a way, a direction. And he should also know what to do, when to do, and how to do.
Okay, so complete this. What one needs is a problem solving approach. अगर आपको मसले का पता ही नहीं होगा, if you're not able to identify what the issue is, how are you going to address it? So acknowledgement is one of the thing that a leader should do. Please इसको आगे कर दो. Acknowledgement is one what should do, because then you are going to recognize कि मसला क्या है, and then you are going to find a path to actually do what is needed.
A strong leadership doesn't work in isolation. Gen Zs जो हैं वो सिर्फ अपने मुल्क या कम्युनिटी तक सिर्फ महदूद नहीं होंगे, बल्कि वो एक ग्लोबल एंगेजमेंट के साथ वर्क करते हैं. A leader should be a dominant figure. He should be influential. जब वो बात करेगा तो वो बात उसकी इतनी पावरफुल होनी चाहिए ताकि लोग उसको मानने के लिए तैयार हो जाएं.
And to do this, what we need is persuasive communication. We know that communication skills are very important, and verbal as well as non-verbal communication is very important. लेकिन हमने चीज देखनी that the conversation should be two-way. अगर एक leader अच्छा speaker है, तो he should be a good listener, so that the people feel कि वो हमारे मसले सुन रहे हैं, then he can address them out.
Great communication isn't about what you say. It is also about what you try to not say. A leader should have a deep understanding of situations. He should have ability to judge well and should hold selective transparency.
And then what you need is a people-centered leadership. अब जिस environment में he's working, he needs to know कि वहाँ की environment कैसी है, and then the people, what does the people want from him? What kind of teamwork या organization है, या कोई आपका nation है, वो किस जगह पे रहना चाहते हैं, किस तरह रहना चाहते हैं, what are their ideals? If he knows that, he can answer that.
Okay, culture is also very important क्योंकि एक लीडर को उस कल्चर को समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि कल्चर जो है वो आपकी थिंकिंग को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है. जब आपकी थिंकिंग को इन्फ्लुएंस करता है तो लीडर जब अपनी टीम के साथ काम करता है तो उसे पता होना चाहिए कि कौन से कल्चर के साथ मैं काम कर रहा हूँ. अगर वो उसको बेटर तरीके से अंडरस्टैंड करेगा तभी वो अच्छे से वर्क कर पाएगा.
And then we have put together all the aspects that we thought were important in a video, because we believe that visuals are more important than words.
Sugar, spice, as everything does. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utoya accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction: chemical eggs. Thus, Powerpuff Girls were born, using their ultra superpowers. Blossom, Bubble, and Buttercup have dedicated their lives to fighting crime and the forces of evil.
I thank you. I hope you have guys enjoyed. हमारे थोड़े से technical errors होते हैं, but there is a message from one of our members, team members, Hafsa Kadri, and मुझे शेर पढ़ना अच्छे से नहीं आता, लेकिन still I tried my best to do this. तुम जो देखो अगर तुम्हारी निगाहों की किरणों से सूरज भी जलने लगे, तुम चलो तो सही, तुम बढ़ो तो सही, मेरी धरती के मंजर बदल जाएंगे. हम सफर साथियों, बेखतर साथियों, तुम मसीहा हो, तुम रगे जां हो, तुम मोहम्मद अली, तुम लियाकत अली, तुम हो कायद, तुम्हें नगवां हो. थैंक यू. ओके, सो इसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट ये है कि समटाइम्स यू हैव ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. अगर हम एक सिनेरियो बिल्ड करते हैं, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है आपकी, एंड यू हैव ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल इंटरेस्ट. अब कंपैरिजन में दूसरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी है, उसके लिए भी वो चीज़ इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपके लिए भी इंपॉर्टेंट है. अब कुछ चीज़ें आपको ऑब्वियसली आपको पता है कि यार ये मेरी एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए या मेरे ऑनर के लिए, मेरी डिग्निटी के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो आपको उधर थोड़ा सा सेल्फिश होना पड़ेगा एज पर योर नेशनल इंटरेस्ट। अगर नेशन के लेवल पे आके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल इंटरेस्ट हो जाएगा, टीम वर्क है तो आपके आपके अपने लोगों के लिए थोड़ा बहुत होना पड़ेगा। लेकिन ऑब्वियसली एक बिल्कुल आइडियलिस्टिक अप्रोच वोट बी नाइस। अगर आप थोड़े से एलिमेंट्स ऐसे होंगे जो कि प्रैक्टिकल होंगे, वो ऐड इन करेंगे, तो दिस इज व्हाट वी मेन। एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस प्लीज?
मैं क्वेश्चन मेरा पहले अगर मैं कह लूँ फिर बाद में कमेंट देता हूँ। सॉफ्ट स्किल्स इज वन थिंग जो डॉक्टर मोईद भी कह रहे थे आप अपनी बात में, तो दैट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ लीडरशिप। उसको आप कैसे देखते हैं लीडरशिप की ग्रोथ में, एक लीडर की ग्रोथ में?
सो बेसिकली सॉफ्ट स्किल्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ठीक है। आप किस तरह की किस तरीके से जो है वो कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं अपनी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू को, वो इट मैटर्स अ लॉट, ठीक है। अब सॉफ्ट स्किल्स के अंदर लाइक
जैसे हमारे पास मार्केटिंग होती है, जैसे आपने बताया कि आपका बहुत कम काम होता है एक टीम में ऐसे, तो जैसे मार्केटिंग है उसमें
एजुकेशन लेवल पे हम उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं। आप इस तरह कहना चाह रहे हैं?
आप जो कर रहे हैं ये सारा सॉफ्ट स्किल्स ही है, और यू डूइंग रियली ग्रेट, तो आप लोग घबरा क्यों गए?
Sir, I think you got your answer, right? Thank you so much.
और मैं अप्रिशिएट करना चाहूँगा, आप बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हो, कीप डूइंग इट बिट मोर, और ज्यादा कंटेजियस बनो। ट्रस्ट मी, आई एम अ प्रोफेशनल, और मैं कोई 20 साल से काम कर रहा हूँ। ये जो आप काम कर रहे हो, जो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स हैं, सॉफ्ट स्किल्स हैं, यही सबसे ज्यादा हेल्प करेंगे। बाकी जो सब कुछ यूनिवर्सिटी पढ़ा रही है, ट्रस्ट मी, वो दोबारा सीखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि स्किल्स विल चेंज ओवर द टाइम ना, ये रीलर्न करना पड़ेगा ये।
Thank you. We have two more questions. I guess Dr. Adil को भी mic दें. आप please.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate all you guys. Are you representing Gen Z?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Professor. So, you mentioned a lot of attributes of a leader. Just a comment and then a small question. It's not a test, nothing. You did an excellent job. I really appreciate from the core of my heart. This is Dr. Zia from National Defense University of Federal Department. My question is that you mentioned a lot of attributes of a leader. What do you think? Out of these so many attributes, what your teachers teach, what you read in the books, what you present in the classes, what you have presented here, what is number one attribute which you feel that this must be the only one attribute?
Courage. The core values. Core values.
One. I'm looking for only one.
Someone's values. Which one?
One.
Such bolta.
Correct.
Honest.
Confidence. What if you don't have knowledge and your confidence fails?
Sir, ये भी fake skill है.
Sorry?
If you don't have knowledge, लेकिन अगर confidence है, आपने झूठ बोल दिया और अगले को माइल कर दिया, that's your skill.
Thank you. We have another question.
सर सच वही है जो आपने अगले को यकीन दिला दिया, फिर डॉक्यूमेंट है. That's it. It can be teamwork या वैसे, लेकिन obviously one attribute choose करना is सबसे
Yes,
sir.
please. And vision की definition है see the invisible future. मेरी बात की see deep into future, 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, 50 years ahead. That is the most important ingredient for the quality of leader to see. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Adil Sultan, please.
Thank you, Adil Sultan. I'm Dean Faculty of Aerospace and Strategic Studies from Air University. आपकी rival university से है. And that's a lighter part. I'm a Canadian. ठीक है? Let me confuse you a bit more. आपने जो सारी प्रॉपर्टीज बताई हैं, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स बताए लीडर के, ये आप चारों के अंदर हैं, ठीक है? नहीं है, ये हर इंसान के अंदर होते हैं, ठीक है? लेवल्स डिफरेंट होते हैं ना, ठीक है? इफ ऑल ऑफ 4 of you have the same qualities and characteristics, how will you identify who is the leader and who is the follower?
सर may I please? लीडरशिप में एक बहुत बड़ी क्वालिटी होती है टीम वर्क की। तो क्वालिटीज हम सब में होगी, लेकिन हम उस चीज को किस तरीके से साथ लेके चलेंगे, दैट इज मतलब उस चीज को टीम वर्क ही आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे। वो ये शायद
I think automatically one person is a leader at the end of the day. The person who showcases more skills than others, or like I just feel कि naturally the person who has charisma and who has better vision than others becomes the automatic leader of the remaining people. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि फिर बाकी लोग जो हैं वो followers होते हैं और वो फिर leader होता है, एक बंदा जो होता है।
Challenge, great. That's a food for thought. Leadership is situational. ठीक है? In one situation, a person can perform better. A military leader जरूरी नहीं कि political leader भी बेहतर हो. I am not pointing, hinting to anyone. लेकिन इसी तरह से आपके अपने उसके अंदर भी ये situational होती है. ठीक है? All of you have the qualities. Given an opportunity, if you excel, you demonstrate your credentials, you will become a leader in that situation. ठीक है? Thank you. Good work.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
We can have one more comment. Sir, please.
Yes, sir. ये माइक देख सकते
Thank you so much.
Okay, please. Last one, last question. Mike, then please.
But we don't do anything. I don't think so. Experience required to be in this. जैसे वैसा situation एकदम से कोई भी चीज़ आपको check कर सकती है या कभी पर आप initially डिस्कस हो जाते हो किसी जगह की knowledge आपकी ज़्यादा होती है तो by chance बाकी आपको वैसे ही देखना शुरू कर देते हैं इस बात में। तो बस situation जब बनेगी उस तरह की जो आप उधर possess करते हैं qualities display करोगे तो आपको experience for a leader. So let's suppose if you have a vision for something, but you are not taking a start. So I think, my personal belief, that doing something, starting something is very necessary. Let's suppose if you are very well in character and you have a vision, but you are not taking the first step. So how you will be a leader?
Okay, thank you so much. And we have another session. There you can comment.
There are only two things that are left that need to be said. Several of the people who are participating in this have had situations and classes with me in which there were groups made and you were asked to choose a leader and you did. Perhaps the way to choose a leader is, if we have this objective, who out of us can deliver this better, and then we agree. So the objective is perhaps something that will help us take us in that direction. So that is the one. But you raised a good point, and I think this part needs to be wrapped up with the simple thing. Without commitment, you cannot start, and without consistency, you cannot finish. So keep these lines in your mind with every objective that we talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, team. Thank you very much. So I would just like to add that you can either be a successful follower or an effective leader. It depends on the situation, as Dr. Adil was saying. So now let's move to the next team, that is Team Air University. Anas Yamin and Alina Afzal, please come up to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alina Afzal, and I am a BSIR student at Air University. So we were assigned a task of identifying leadership traits that we wish to see in, let's suppose, the year 2040. And the second part of the question was to identify the solutions or practical solutions for achieving those. So, my team and I, we had a method which I would like to introduce. The slide. Okay. So staying true to Gen Z tradition, we made a group chat, although a lot of us like to leave them on mute the moment they're made. So we were brainstorming a lot of ideas. We needed to find common ground because there are a lot of traits, and we wanted to find some that we all agreed upon, and then we all would mutually decide on what is the best way to achieve them. So one of our team members had this really nice idea of making a questionnaire, which would be like a psychoanalysis through which we will find out what traits are the most commonly needed by our group mates. So initially we conducted this. This is sort of like a research or like a primary data survey on our own group, and I would really like if you guys could also participate in it. So question number 1 is you're at an event and suddenly the host asks you to give a short speech on Gen Z leadership. What do you do? Option A, can I get a minute to chat GPT some key points? Or option B, this is not what I signed up for. Or option number C, take a deep breath and talk from experience. Leadership is all about owning the moment. Does anyone want to guess what the majority voted for? A? Let's see. Gen Z decided to be responsible and show up. Question number 2. Your student organization's social media manager accidentally posts a personal TikTok on the official page. It's off-brand but getting tons of views. What's your move? Option A, own it, make a joke, turn it into a brand moment. Or option number B, leave it up but turn off the comments to avoid controversy. Or option C, delete it immediately and pretend it never happened. Can anyone guess what the majority voted for? You are right. Moving on to question number 3, which is, your team is planning a big event, but a heated argument breaks out in the group chat. Messages are flying and tensions are high. How do you handle it? Option number A, mute the chat and hope they figure it out on their own. C, you guys are so wrong because my team is very responsible. They decided to step in, de-escalate the tension, and find solutions to the goal. Moving on to question number 4. You're in an online debate about a trending political issue, and the other person strongly disagrees with you, even using sarcasm. How do you respond? Okay, can I get a hands up for option A? Okay. And option B? Option C? Yes. Yes, you guys are right. So, what were we able to what were the traits we were able to highlight off of these questions? So question number 1, the majority voted for an option that highlighted willpower and confidence. In question number 2, the majority voted for an option that highlighted mental agility and adaptability. For question number 3, it was empathy and critical thinking. And question number 4 was emotional intelligence and problem solving. Now, moving on to the second part of our presentation, I would like to call upon my colleague Anas Yamin, and he will present you the solutions that we came up with. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. So I got solutions, something that Gen Z love coming up with, or we think we do. Anyways. So, the team was divided into 4 groups, and then we highlighted each state individually. Group 1 had willpower and confidence, group 2 and so on and so on. Now, the 5-second rule. We all know the 5-second rule is. You drop something on the ground, pick it up within 5 minutes, and it's clean, ready to use. What that shows somewhat is a lack of patience. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. You need those 5 seconds to start thinking critically and get into action. Because Gen Z का ये बात है कि अगर काम लंबा हो गया बस छोड़ दो वरना फिर नहीं होगा. That's self-replication, that self-deprecative humor in me. That's Gen Z. That's the epitome of a Gen Z person. Anyways, then we have confidence. Keep it सादा. ये वो सादा पे वाला सादा नहीं. ये दूसरे वाला. Like be precise, be concise, and speak with brevity. वरना अगर आपने बात लंबी कर दी फिर वो भी लंबी करते जाएंगे and then you're done. Yeah, so that happens a lot, especially in university. Now, so I can't see you. My apologies. Yeah. Speak with assertiveness, I say, and good posture, which I'm pretending that I'm doing right now, and it's working somewhere. But that's what it is actually. If you're in a state where you don't know if you're courageous or not, and you pretend that you are courageous, well, congratulations, you're courageous. And that's the first step into becoming a leader. And vision, obviously. Now, these are some of the suggestions that we had. Adaptability. On the counts of adaptability, I would say you need to let go of the fact that delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is something that we need to work on. All those quick replies on Instagram and all those replies on WhatsApp, that's actually put us at a pace in which we're lagging. Lagging in the sense that we need to think introspectively. And we need to come up with techniques that allows us to actually build upon that patience so we can listen to other people's. Read the whole message without just replying and saying, okay, done. With a reaction, which actually shows him. But gaming 1 hour a day. That is our version of reading the morning Sunday newspaper. I know that's a bit redundant to some people, but Gen Z has the thing that where we want to explore, discover. We all can you imagine going to Mount Everest, jumping off without a parachute or something? Not that that's a challenge, please, but in the gaming world, that's possible. In the gaming world, that's sort of, I'm rambling, which is a Gen Z trait, to be noted. But it's something that we just have, and it's something that we work with quite confidently, and we own it. Then we have that 1 day a week where you pick something to learn, new to learn. I personally love learning languages or reading a book. Or you could even learn that recipe जो आपने अम्मी को कहते हैं सिखा दें लेकिन वो भेज देती हैं फिर आप बाद में आए तो सिखा दें लेकिन सिखाती नहीं. 1 to 2 hours a day you need an outing. आजकल इसको कहा जाता है सोशल मीडिया पे go out and touch grass. I don't know what that means either. मुझे नहीं पता. But the thing is, go out, take a look, see कि हो क्या रहा है भाई. Take in some nature, some fresh air, because we're lacking in that sense. Fresh air नहीं मिलती आजकल. And see actually how people are performing what they're performing outside of their homes. Now, problem solving. The 5 ways method. Why? Sorry. ये why वो वाला नहीं है जो बचपन में सुनते थे कि क्यों तो लड़ाई होती है. And funnily enough, subsequently, आपने नोटिस किया होगा कि the previous generation उन्होंने कहना शुरू कर दिया कि यार ये क्यों बहुत करते हैं. That's not necessarily a bad thing. We could put it out to natural curiosity. या फिर वही कि बहाना इतना बात नहीं लंबी कर तो काम ना करना. That is, let me put it to you this way. With the first why, you get a feeling. With the second why, you get an idea. With the third, you get a problem, and with the fourth, you come up with a solution for that problem. But with the fifth, you actually come up with the reason for all of those whys. कि भाई मैं ये कर क्यों? And after that, when it comes to emotional intelligence, अब वो ज़माना गुजर गया where somebody comes up to you and says कि this is my problem and then you turn yourself off like a stone cold wall and उसको एक solution दो और भेज दो. No. People now expect you to be empathetic. People now expect you understand. That's when somebody comes up to you, you use phrases such as "I can see why you feel that way." Make them feel like they're included. Make them feel like कि आप सिर्फ उनकी problem नहीं देख रहे हो. You're actually looking at their experiences and their situations as a person as well. Okay, you're part of my team. I get where you're coming from. Let me help you. And trust me, that way you will never lose a follower or an employee, whoever you're working with. Now, I believe there's somewhere over here mentioned that you need to surround yourself with good people. Obviously, we know that a leader is known by the company they keep. And that is very important. Most of the people nowadays would go onto Instagram and reels and that's all the company they keep. No. ये भी delayed gratification का एक part है. Stop wasting your time on social media. Go outside, see how people think, see how they talk. Because trust me, you're not getting that message reply. Empathy, obviously, which I touched upon, it has a big part to play. Bring your emotional intelligence up to such a level that people can feel that exuding out of you. They would be like, "Acha, main iske paas jaunga." He would understand. And understanding is what we need, because trust me, so many discourses have gone out for the sake of just an argument without understanding, and it has led to misunderstandings. Something which Gen Z has to tackle on a daily basis. Critical thinking, do not be scared of questioning another person. आप ये नहीं करें कि यार इसका मूड ऐसे ऐसे काम करवाना है तो अच्छा ठीक है ये कर लेते हैं. No. When somebody brings you a vision or an ideology, question why you feel this way. Question how is this possible. Because that's what's going to show you, okay, fine, there are other humans than I. It's going to help you gauge how the world is evolving and how you need to evolve with it as well. 5 people come up to you, each with different problems, scenarios, visions. Now, if you're not somebody that thinks critically or has some level of empathy, you're going to be confused. Sitting like a rubber duck in an overflowing tub. I rhymed, I think. Now, on that note, please, let me finish. I know Gen Z is very exciting, but now, I'm not saying that all of this is something जो Gen Z को naturally आती होगी या अगर हम कोशिश भी नहीं करेंगे आ जाएगी. No. Okay, we are the future, yes, but we need to practice. We need to hoist that flag of practice. Because practice makes what? Absolutely not, disregard that notion. Practice leads to perfect pizza making. Sorry, my bad. I'm messing with you. No. Practice leads to improvement. You can always be better than that ideal of perfect that you have in your mind. We are creative beings by birth. The world is our canvas. And I'm Picasso, I think. I like to pretend. Thank you. Now, as I leave, before I come up with any other puns, जो हमारी एक speciality है, Gen Z, let me leave you with some advice for a budding leader. If you want to be a leader, do not think that you're mediocre or normal. There is no mediocre, only unique. And make sure that your brand of unique triumphs all. Thank you.
So we have another session for comments. So if you have any questions for the team, yes, please.
He told me that he was inspired of Adolf Hitler. So I was asking him when I was saying that what is his quality of deceiving people or or destroying the everything.
See, I think you give too much weight to my sarcasm. That is something you Gen Z specialize in.
Remain sarcasm. But I can appreciate the fact that you need to be a good orator somewhat. And we're working on that. लेकिन नहीं भाई मैं इतना उससे inspired नहीं हूँ. I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Okay, we have another question.
Sampan, it was a very interesting activity. आपने एक ज़्यादा advices here student about nice and sorry. How do you think that can be like उसको अपने normal life में एक चीज़ों को कैसे apply
So you're talking about applying. Apply करने से पहले भी एक step आता है. Try. There is no glory without failure. Like आप try तो करें. अब हमने mention किया था एक slide के अंदर कि AI जो है, master AI, but then spend a lot of your hours without any AI use. That is an example of how you can develop one soft skill. But application तब आती है when you have the will to try. He who has a why can bear almost any how. So that's what I'd say. Try. Get up and try.
University also rise in their seats. They all have gone. Yes, everybody responded to this. The sarcasm was collectively decided, or was it only individual? Sit down. Any question, comment? Has any specific question?
Just got a comment. So nowadays the world is full of energy. So a leader is for Gen Z must know directing that energy. हमारे पास काफी टाइम है और there are youth, so the आजकल student there's a lot of time. So a lot of energies. We just have to do directing that energies into something. In this era of machinization, we are also going towards dehumanization. So I think a leader must have a sense of directing others.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, thank you, team University.
Just to wrap this up, let's just connect this last point into your ideas. And leadership has many facets, many angles that are involved, and that's so that I can lead to go that direction. What is one point that came up during this recording was instant gratification, delayed gratification. Now, the trend of involving in social media is instant gratification. I post something and I get a like and I feel happy about getting the likes. How does this generation change it to delay it and have that? The older generation had that. You had to work yourself for several minutes, days, hours, whatever, weeks, years to get that kind of gratification. Now the trends have changed and is it possible for you to connect, let's say, week with alpha and say, no, hang on, there's gratification to come in. Is it possible? So think about that. It's too much time, but that's all that remains is to say thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we have some experts with us, and I would like to call upon Dr. Noor Amna Malik, Professor Dr. Rukhsana Kausar, and Abdul Waris Hamid to the stage. At a fairly young age, Abdul Waris Hamid is a man for all seasons, a research associate at the Center for Security Strategy and Policy Research at the University of Lahore. He teaches courses on traditional and non-traditional security at the School of Integrated Social Sciences. His areas of research interest include climate change and issues of national security, strategic culture, war, and military history. He is also an avid photographer and a practitioner of social documentary photography for over a decade. His work has been exhibited internationally, included in New York and Berlin. He is also the founder of NASHIST, a photography talk forum. Please welcome Mr. Abdul Waris Hamid.
Thank you very much for a generous introduction, and to the man who wrote it. Thank you very much, Khalid Sahab. Khalid Sahab has been trying to engage me with this, all this idea for a long time, but I'm happy that I'm here. One thing I'll start because मुझे जो कहा गया वो था कि I'll have to give my observations, some of my comments on what has been presented. So I'll come to that in a bit. I'm from the last of the millennials who at times behave very close to these Gen Zs, right? Like sometimes we do have the habit of doing that. But so I'll come with why am I here? I'm here because of one big reason, and that reason sits at the end of this row, Khalid sir. And I just love the way he's pursuing this ambition of making sure that the generations that are to come are better than the generations that we have had in the past. And the other reason I'm fond of him, and that I have told him last time when he was in Lahore, I told him, and that's a quote from Picture of the Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and it says that you'll always be fond of me because I represent to you all the sins you never had the courage to commit. So that is one reason I'm fond of him, that he has committed a lot more sins that I never had the courage to commit. And same goes for a lot more people in the room. So coming to Gen Zs and leadership, basically leadership. Mera leadership, I have not been in a lot of leadership roles in my life, as a lot of you who are sitting here have been. Like one of the participants mentioned about crisis. I've never been into life crisis, but छोटे मोटे crisis हमारे हो जाते हैं. So one a pair of socks doesn't match up. That's a crisis one day, and another crisis. You don't reply to your wife on time. That's a crisis at times. Like अभी मैंने message किया कि the signals are weak, so please don't shuck on me. Right? Yeah, it says the signals are not here. So, but मैं ये देख रहा था कि that's what I have learned from a few people in my life. जिन्होंने मुझे चीज़ों के बारे में सिखाया is way you can teach someone is two ways. Is one that you teach them what to think, and the other is you teach them how to think. So I'm not going to talk about leadership in a way that what to think about leadership, but I'm going to talk more about how to think about leadership. एक चीज मुझे फील हुई, and that I think is a big problem right now, not here in this room but elsewhere as well. When we talk about leadership, हम कुछ imagine करते हैं, we make certain drafts, कुछ abstracts हमारे ज़हन में बनते हैं, leaders like Winston Churchill, Adolf Hitler, some war general. COVID में we got a lot of heroes, but leaders. But मेरा ख्याल है कि leadership comes from within. It's जिस तरह सबने कहा कि either you lead or you follow. But merely leadership is a very internal thing. It's I am leading and I am the one who's following as well. So leadership does not really start with you leading a group of 4 or 5 people. It starts with you waking up every day and leading yourself into life, thinking about what you want to do, taking charge of what you want to do. Because मैं उस generation से हूँ, one thing they missed in my generous introduction is that I am an engineer first, before I studied social sciences, and that engineering is because of I followed my parents. And I had not the courage of following my own ambitions, what I wanted to do at the time. And there are a lot of broken dreams in this room as well, जिन्होंने बहुत कुछ जिंदगी में किया because either the parents wanted them to do that, or it was the economic situation wanted them to do that, and did not have the freedom of doing it themselves. So leadership comes from that very basic phenomena. मेरा ख्याल है अगर हमें नई जनरेशन को तैयार करना है for leadership, so we should be training them to lead themselves first, take charge of themselves, and this is I think pretty much visible in the next generation Z, as we go along interacting with them. तो एक चीज आपको नजर आती है कि हम उनको they are very as much as we want to think they're directionless in their own selves, they know what to do. तो जिसने खालिद साहब ने कहा कि क्लैरिटी है उनको कि 10 साल में क्या करना, उसकी बड़ी अच्छी मिसाल परसों की है. So me and my wife, we were sitting and one of my bhabis who's a very late Gen Z, तो उसका मैसेज आया ग्रुप में कि let's have sehri at 12:30 on a Saturday night. And that's Thursday we are sitting in and we are thinking कि यार इतना दूर का कौन सोच रहा है on a Saturday night 12:30. I'm not sure if I'll be awake, I would be tired or what. But this generation has this habit. They think ahead a lot more clearly than at least we used to think. एक चीज जो मुझे लगा, I would like to disagree with a bit with what Dr. Moeed said. वोकेशनल एंड सॉफ्ट स्किल्स की जो बात है, देखिए वोकेशनल स्किल्स का इशू ये है कि ये हमारा जितना भी एजुकेशन सिस्टम है, आई एम पार्ट ऑफ एजुकेशन सिस्टम, लॉट ऑफ पीपल हियर आर पार्ट ऑफ एजुकेशन, एट द एंड रिवॉर्ड वोकेशनल स्किल्स को कर रहा है। सॉफ्ट स्किल को कहा तो जाता है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, बट रिवॉर्ड एट द एंड वोकेशनल स्किल्स को दिया जा रहा है। आपकी ग्रेडिंग वोकेशनल स्किल पे हो रही है, आपकी जीपीएस वोकेशनल स्किल्स के ऊपर बन रहे हैं, आपकी डिग्री की जो आप मतलब मेरिट्स हैं वो वोकेशनल उसके ऊपर बन रहे हैं, दे आर नॉट बीइंग मेड ऑन सॉफ्ट स्किल्स। इफ यू रियली वांट द जनरेशन टू बाय द आइडिया ऑफ सॉफ्ट स्किल्स, सो वी ओनली हैव दिस चांस कि हम अपने सिस्टम को बदल लें इस तरह से कि वो सॉफ्ट स्किल को प्रायोरिटाइज करने लगें। अदरवाइज व्हाटएवर वी कीप से वो कीप सेइंग दैट वोंट रियली मैटर। Plus leadership, again, as I said, we need to think about leadership, and this is for the people who presented that. Is it a means to something or is it an end? Like, do you want to be a leader for the sake of being a leader, or is leadership, as Dr. Adil said, is very situational? And whoever makes sense at a certain time can lead for that certain time, and then the other person can lead. Or it reminds me, wo jo the life of Galileo, it's a play, it's a German play, तो उसमें वो कहता है, आंड्रे कहता है कि pity the land who breeds no heroes. तो उसका गैलीलियो जवाब देता है, pity the land that needs heroes. So we don't need leaders in that term. Like, we don't need heroes in that term. We need people who wake up every day and think about what to do, what great value to add to this day, to this month, to this year, to this semester. And then, they keep on growing. And all the things that you have mentioned, और ये मेरी अपनी ज़ाती एक बस सोच है, which I would want to share, it comes down to one thing, and that is bravery, courage. इस तरह यहाँ पे किसी ने कहा कि we need to start somewhere, right? We need to take a step. Courage, I think, वो इकबाल ने भी जहाँ कहा था, शुजात, अदालत, अमानत, तो अगर आप देखें तो अदालत और अमानत भी तभी हो सकती है जब आप शुजात आपके अंदर होगी। आप अदल भी तभी कर सकते हैं if you have the courage to say that I am wrong, you are right. That is अदालत, right? और अमानत भी यही है कि आपके पास अगर कोई चीज़ है, you pass it on to the next generation as it you had it, right? कुछ उसमें से गेट कीपिंग करके। So bravery is very important. और bravery को different aspects में सोचना, integrity is bravery, सच बोलना is also bravery, accepting your mistakes is bravery, adl karna, as I have said, is bravery. So it's courage under grace, it's grace under pressure. This is what courage is. When crisis hits, आप किस तरह से सोचते हैं, it really, it matters a lot. And again, being a photographer, I have learned one thing, that there are no rules to a great photograph. There are only great photographs. So I don't think you can have ingredients for a great leader. You can have great leaders in all of you, in all of us. But it really comes down to one thing, that are we ready to take charge of what to do next? And this is, I think, my way for, my vision for the future generation. Or you exercise it as one lesson, like the important lesson that it gives is, so which is, all that you have talked about is not really explained us what Gen Z is, but आप लोगों ने अपने अंदर एक journey की है, and you have tried to figure out what Gen Zs are, what you guys are, and what you guys need, what you guys lack, and this is actually the start of leadership. You know what you want, and then you start looking for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hamid. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Noor Amna Malik. Dr. Malik is a highly distinguished leader in the higher education and policy realm. She is currently the Managing Director of the National Academy of Higher Education at the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. With around 3 decades of extensive professional development experience, her areas of expertise include monitoring and evaluation, learning and research, human resource development, strategic public policy planning, quality assurance, organizational behavior, university governance, project management, academic planning and management, and effective communications. Dr. Malik has represented Pakistan as a keynote speaker and resource person in numerous national and international forums. She has served as a syndicate or board of governors member at universities, including the University of the Punjab. Madam, please.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। सबसे पहले तो मैं मुबारक दूंगी इकराम सहगल साहब को और खालिद बनूरी साहब, डॉक्टर शर्मा, for this beautiful असेंबली ऑफ पीपल। अभी मैडम ने मेरा तारुफ कराया, लेकिन मैं इसलिए मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस ब्रेक हो गया बिकॉज जब इन बच्चों को सुना है तो उसके बाद मैंने जो कुछ किया मुझे लग रहा है मैंने कुछ भी नहीं किया। अच्छा, बहुत पहले की बात है, हम लोग एक बात कहा करते थे, एक अल्फा ब्रावो चार्ली एक ड्रामा आया था पीटीवी पे, और उसमें उन्होंने पीएमए के वो लोग खड़े थे, तो सीनियर ऑफिसर्स थे एंड दे वर टॉकिंग अबाउट द यंग ऑफिसर्स। तो उन्होंने कहा कि जी जो पुराने हैं ना, हमारा वक्त बहुत बेहतरीन था, ये जो नई जनरेशन है ना, ये जो भी कप्तान आया, जो लेफ्टिनेंट आया, ये आया, ये दे आर नॉट गुड, वी वर वेरी गुड, और हमारा जमाना बहुत बेहतर था। इसी तरीके से जो हम पास्ट में कहते हैं पास्ट वाज बेटर देन द फ्यूचर, बट टुडे व्हेन आई लुक्ड एट बोथ द टीम्स आई रियलाइज्ड that our future is not only bright, our future is absolutely clear, our future is very focused. But whatever you have all discussed about, हम past को glorify जरूर करते हैं because there are conservatism, there is traditionalism, there are so many things that we talk about. मैं उन चीजों को रिपीट नहीं करूंगी जो ऑलरेडी हो गई हैं बिकॉज टाइम भी कम है। 3-4 चीजें मैंने पहले मैं एक छोटा सा कंपैरिजन देना चाहूंगी। जो हमारी टीम कॉलेज कायदे आजम यूनिवर्सिटी आई, मैंने उनके अंदर एक स्पॉन्टेनिटी देखी, उनमें एक इनोसेंस देखी, उनके अंदर एक नेचुरलनेस देखी, which was something which is really required. अच्छा, फिर एक क्वेश्चन हुआ जिसका सर ने बड़ा अच्छा जवाब दिया कि सिचुएशनल लीडरशिप एक ऐसी चीज है जो हमारे अंदर होनी चाहिए। कोई किसी वक्त भी कोई भी मोमेंट हो उसको वो ना सिर्फ उसको गैदर करे बल्कि उसमें एक्ट करे जिस वक्त उसकी आपको जरूरत है। So मुझे एक बहुत अच्छी बात लगी कि when I think one of the participants got a little nervous, so the other person immediately came to her rescue, and you were all actually as a team wanted to not only excel, you wanted to prove your point. I mean, you were brilliant. What I felt was that you were not only confident, you had brilliant ideas, you were focused, you knew what you wanted to talk about, बल्कि आपने हर एक क्वेश्चन को बड़ा तरीके से दिया। सिर्फ एक चीज की कमी मुझे दोनों टीम्स में जो नजर आई, वो टीम्स की बात नहीं है, वो इस जनरेशन का मसला है। वो ये समझ रहे हैं, हो सकता है मैं गलत हूं, क्योंकि अभी मैं आपको एक छोटा सा वाक्य जल्दी से 10 मिनट में सुनाती हूँ कि मैं जनरेशन एक्स हूँ शायद, और आप जनरेशन जी हैं। अभी कुछ दिनों पहले मेरे दफ्तर में एक जनरेशन जी के साथ मेरा झगड़ा हो गया। झगड़ा हुआ, खत्म हुई बात, और खत्म नहीं हुई, बिल्कुल शुरू हुई। कैसे कि उसने कहा जी मैं रिजाइन करता हूँ, और उसे रिजाइन कर दिया। जिस दिन उसे रिजाइन किया वो मेरे पास आई, उस दिन हमने एक दूसरे को एक्चुअली समझा। तो मैंने कहा अब तुम ना जाओ, उसने कहा अब तो देर हो चुकी। अब मैं भी सोचूं कि मैं अगर समझ लेती, उसने भी कहा मैं आपको समझ ली थी, हम दोनों एक दूसरे को नहीं समझ पाए। प्लीज रिमेंबर, इट वाज नॉट जस्ट मी हु डिड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड इट, इट वाज शी आल्सो हु कुड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड इट। सो दिस क्लैश ऑफ जनरेशन इज समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड। So आप लोगों ने बहुत अच्छी बातें की। I'm not going to repeat anything, although I wrote so much. But please remember one thing: that you are coming up with what I used to think. Samuel Beckett का एक play है, Waiting for Godot. वो क्या है? मसीहा का इंतजार कर रहे हैं। हमारा जो पाकिस्तान का अलमिया है कि हम उस मसीहा का इंतजार करें, सब कुछ ठीक कर देगा, पानी आएगा और जबरदस्त आएगा और फिर सब कुछ साफ सुथरा हो जाएगा। आपने इस चीज को देखना है कि आप वो मसीहा हैं। मैं इससे बड़ा कॉम्प्लीमेंट आपको नहीं दे सकती कि if we are waiting for Godot, you all are that Godot. You are all that Messiah. You all have the potential to take this country to the level that we want. The only concern that I feel after listening to both of you is कि आपको सबने बात की, मैं कोई नई बात नहीं कर रही, कि आपने एक तो अपने आप को चैनलाइज करना है, और दूसरा जो पास्ट का एक्सपीरियंस है, ये भी बात किसी ने की। एक्सपीरियंस जो है ना, वो बहुत बड़ी ताकत है। उस एक्सपीरियंस को रिस्पेक्ट करना इस जनरेशन के लिए बहुत जरूरी है। आपने जो टीम ए की मैंने देखा है, दे वर कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग ईच अदर, कॉम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे थे, आप एक दूसरे को कंप्लीट कर रहे थे। अगर किसी एक का सवाल तो दूसरा उसको देख रहा था, एक दूसरे को आपने दी। इसी तरह हमारा जो एयर यूनिवर्सिटी के दोनों बच्चे थे, उन्होंने भी बहुत अच्छे तरीके से बात की। इस बच्चे ने अपनी सरकाज़म के बारे में बात की। अब सरकाज़म को भी आप हर जगह पे यूज करोगे तो काम नहीं चलेगा, कहीं वो चलेगा और कहीं नहीं चलेगा। सिचुएशनल लीडरशिप is I feel very very important. हमारे निशाने हैदर बहुत सारे हैं, लेकिन कोई एक निशाने हैदर ऐसे भी थे जिनको वो काम नहीं करना था, जो उन्होंने किया और निशाने हैदर ले लिया। वो जीप ड्राइवर थे और सब शहीद हो चुके थे। फाइनली पूरी पाकिस्तान की क़यादत और लीडरशिप उनके हाथ में आ गई। सो द पॉइंट इज वो सिचुएशनल लीडरशिप थी। आपको पास्ट की ट्रेडिशनलिज्म, एक्सपीरियंस और अपने बडिंग आइडियाज जो आपके अंदर इस वक्त अल्लाह ताला ने आपको, क्योंकि बनूरी साहब ने एक बात बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट की कि आप उस जनरेशन से ताल्लुक रखते हो जिस वक्त ओवर इंफॉर्मेशन है, उसको चैनलाइज करना बहुत जरूरी है। सो दिस इज समथिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू, व्हिच आई फील कि आपने ये कभी नहीं कहना जो मैं आपको चाहूंगी कि आपको नहीं पता जी, हमें सब कुछ पता है। इस एलिमेंट से प्लीज आप लोग अपने आप को दूर रखें। Do not think that you know everything. Of course, you are the most. Right now, I cannot claim that I am from that generation. You are from that generation which knows everything. Artificial intelligence को कहते हैं मसनूई जहानत। ये मसनूई जहानत है। अभी एक बच्चे ने आपके शायद एक यूनिवर्सिटी में एक बात थी कि do not let AI drive your own नेचुरलनेस। अल्लाह ताला ने हर इंसान को एक स्टार बनाया, हर इंसान के अंदर एक काबिलियत है। बस सिर्फ आपसे ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो क्लैश ना आए। वो जो एक मैंने आपको एक छोटा सा अपना वाक्य बताया, वो क्लैश ना आए। बाकी ये कि मेरा अपना ख्याल है कि आप सब लोग बहुत वेल अवेयर हैं। You're not only confident, you're very clear about what are the core values. आप लोगों में ऑनेस्टी हमसे ज्यादा है, आप लोगों में कॉन्फिडेंस तो हमसे ज्यादा है ही सही, लेकिन आप लोगों के अंदर मैंने एक वैल्यूज देखी हैं जो आप लोग एक बात से मैं एक और बात कहूंगी कि आपने कहा कि जी हम डिबेट, एक वो बच्ची एक वो मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चंस करी तो उसने कहा कि जी अगर कोई कंट्रोवर्शियल चीज आएगी तो हम कहेंगे लेट्स ब्रेक द डिबेट एंड नो नो नो, यू आर नॉट लाइक दैट, यू लाइक टू डिस्कस, यू रियली वांट टू represent your perspective, which is something which was missing in us। कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है जाने दो, आप लोगों में वो चीज नहीं है। इससे मुझे अपना फ्यूचर, अपनी कंट्री का फ्यूचर बहुत ब्राइट लग रहा है। जो अगर सहगल साहब का जो ख्वाब है वो पूरा शायद आप ही लोग करेंगे, जो कायदे आजम साहब का ख्वाब, और हमारे बड़े सीनियर लोग बैठे हैं, मैं भी अपने आप को उनमें से एक साइड पे देख रही हूँ, तो मुझे लगता है कि फ्यूचर बहुत ब्राइट है। एक रिस्पेक्ट सबकी बड़ों की नहीं छोड़नी आपने, क्योंकि आप में कॉन्फिडेंस होगा, नॉलेज होगी, हर चीज होगी, लेकिन वो जो एथिकल बात आपने कोर वैल्यूज में की है उसको प्लीज कायम रखिए। जरूर सरकाज़म कीजिए, लेकिन देखिए कि वो सिचुएशनल हो, किसी का दिल ना टूटे, क्योंकि हमें वो एम्पैथी भी रखनी है, इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस भी रखनी है। और मेरा ख्याल है कि मैं ज्यादा बात नहीं करूंगी, मेरा ख्याल है कि आज की इस काविश से मैं, क्योंकि एक ऐसे इदारे में काम करती हूँ जो टीचर्स को डेवलप करता है। हम कहते हैं जी स्टूडेंट को छोड़ो जी, टीचर को बेहतर करो, तो मुझे लग रहा है कि टीचर्स तो आप सब बन गए, लेकिन ये कि आप फिर भी टीचर से थोड़े से पीछे ही रहेंगे, बड़े तो नहीं, उनसे तो आप आगे नहीं निकल सकते। आप जो कुछ है नंबर 1 है, लेकिन ये याद रखिए कि आप जिस बुनियाद पे, जो जनरेशन में जिस तरीके से आप काम कर रहे हैं, अपने एथिक्स को, अपनी ट्रेडिशन को, अपने पास्ट को, और जो आपसे बड़े हैं उनको सीखते हुए आपने आगे लेके चल रहे हैं। तो लीडरशिप मेरे हिसाब से एक अगेन इन्होंने भी बात की, वारिस साहब ने भी, कि इट कम्स फ्रॉम विद इन। मेरे बारे में कहा जाता है कि अगर मैं, अब जाहिर है मैं एक डिवीजन को हेड कर रही हूँ, कि जी इंटिमिडेटिंग हो जाता है, जो ओवरवेलमिंग हो जाता है। ओवरवेलमिंग कुछ नहीं होता, हर इंसान ऑब्जेक्टिविटी खो देता है जब वो अपने पॉइंट को असर्ट करता है। सो वी नीड टू लर्न टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड एक्सेप्ट द अदर पर्सन्स पर्सपेक्टिव, जो मैंने आप लोगों में देखा है, लेकिन आप लोगों के आपस में देखा है। अब ये प्रॉब्लम है, समझने की जरूरत है कि आप एज अ जनरेशन तो आपस में शायद कंपैटिबल हो, मेरा इशू क्लैश ऑफ जनरेशन है। इस वक्त बहुत सारी जनरेशन आपके साथ मिलकर काम कर रही है, तो आपने इस चीज का बहुत ध्यान करना है। आई कंग्रेचुलेट यू सर for what you have actually achieved today. Is this that our future is very clear, very focused, and Pakistan is going to be in the rightest direction if we channelize our information, because there is an information overload. इतना ओवरलोडेड है कि हमको समझ नहीं आता कि हम क्या करें। अभी उनसे बात हो रही थी सहगल साहब की डॉटर से, तो उनकी जो बच्ची है वो इस वक्त डिसाइड नहीं कर पा रही कि मैं किस फील्ड में जाऊं। तो ये वो डिलेमा है हमारी जनरेशन का, जिसको आपने चैनलाइज करना है। तो मैं समझती हूँ कि मैं कल जब अपने दफ्तर मंडे को जाऊंगी और साथ से बात करूंगी, तो मैं भी उनको कहूंगी कि जेन जी को चैनलाइज करना बहुत जरूरी है। तो आप लोग अपना मकसद समझ गए, बहुत अच्छा लगा, दोनों लोगों ने बहुत अच्छा बोला। बस ये नहीं कहना कि आपको नहीं पता, ये नहीं कहना। ये मैंने बहुत ज्यादा जेन जी में चीज देखी, अम्मी अब्बू को डांट रहे होते हैं कि अम्मी अब्बू आपको नहीं पता, ये हमें पता है, आपको आप छोड़े छोड़े आपको नहीं पता। इस चीज से आप निकल आइए। मेरे ख्याल में आपसे बेहतरीन फ्यूचर इस मुल्क का कोई नहीं है, और हम आपको इंशाल्लाह फॉलो कर रहे हैं। और आपकी इस लीडरशिप में बस वो एथिकल लीडरशिप आ जाए, तो मेरे ख्याल में स्काई इज द लिमिट फॉर यू। सो आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट, ईच वन ऑफ यू, यू आर ऑल लीडर्स। एंड एक आखिरी बात मैं कहना चाहूंगी, डू नॉट ओवर एस्टिमेट योर सेल्फ and do not underestimate the other। ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा हमारे लिए प्रॉब्लम बन जाता है। और एक दूसरे की रिस्पेक्ट कीजिए, और जो नॉलेज है उसको चैनलाइज करके आगे चलें ताकि हम किसी राइट डायरेक्शन में जा सकें। फोकस करें तो कुछ प्रोडक्ट निकालें, ये नहीं कि हम बातें कर रहे हैं लेकिन किसी एम पे नहीं जा रहे। वी शुड ऑल बी ऑलवेज बी एम ओरिएंटेड। सो विद दिस आई लाइक टू कंक्लूड। आई थिंक माय 10 minutes हैव ऑलरेडी गॉन बाय, बट इतना अच्छा लगा है, इतना ओवरवेलमिंग है। अल्लाह इस स्पिरिट को हमारी कायम रखे और इसी तरीके से जो आज आपके असातिज़ा ने आपको ये फोरम दिया है, इस फोरम को मेंटेन कीजिए कंसिस्टेंसी के साथ, एंड विद दिस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दैट नाउ द फ्यूचर लाइज इन योर हैंड्स। Thank you so much.
We have another female leader with us today, and it is an honor to introduce her, Dr. Kausar, Dr. Rukhsana Kausar. She is the Pro Vice Chancellor at Rashid Latif Khan University, Lahore, and is Professor Emeritus at the University of the Punjab. She has held key positions, including Vice Chancellor of Government College Women University, Sialkot, and Lahore College for Women University. With 4 decades of teaching and research experience and 20 years of being in senior management, she has published 125 research papers and collaborated on numerous national and international projects across the UK, USA, Europe, Africa, Bangladesh, and India. She is a fellow and member of several prestigious psychological associations, including the American Psychological Association, British Psychological Society, and International Medical Sciences Academy. She has also played a key role in policy making and ethical guidelines for research in Pakistan. Please welcome Dr. Rukhsana Kausar.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Vish, for such a, I don't know, illustrious introduction. Being the last speaker, perhaps, first of all, I would like to thank the organizers, particularly Ikram Sahil Sagal Saab and Khalid Banori Saab, and the teams, Qaid-e-Azam University and Yale University. Very delightful experience to be here and also to listen to your point of views. I think because my profession is also psychology, so I most probably would have a different perspective or talk to you from that perspective too. I have listened to you. Both teams have done a wonderful job. The first team has collated certain attributes, and I was delighted to see that there is lots of research. It's okay. Research being done on traits and all these human traits and leadership qualities and what types of leaders we have. There is a leadership types of leadership like autocratic, democratic, Hippocratic, I don't know what kind of, and number of, and now we also see situational leadership. Now that time is gone that we don't go to the typology of leadership. Everyone is a leader with unique characteristics varying on a certain continuum. So our team has collated all those leadership qualities, and they also did it in very wonderful way by animating it and presenting it in a very impressive manner. Well done. You have been very innovative, and you gave me courage that most probably in future we will have majority women leaders, because all the girls standing here or sitting here were girls. Second, the university, they were very innovative using empirical approach. They actually conceptualized the concept and then developed a questionnaire and gathered data. And then analyzed it, and on the basis of that they extracted the traits which a leader would have. What intrigued me was that all these questions and the responses were those which were socially desirable responses, which I would say. That you are very clever, the respondents were very clever, that what would be the acceptable responses when they are filling those questionnaires, the options you gave. And I would also appreciate if you try to look at the dimensionalities of 2 other options which you have added. Because had somebody given those options and given those choices, what trait would they be reflecting? And that is a maybe assignment for you. To look on those, if majority has given another response, so what dimensionality of leadership that would show. I would start with, this is only talking about how you presented it, and that is wonderful approach. The both universities have taken different approach, but they were very clear, they were very enthusiastic, standing in front of this crowd. I'm sure elitist of the elites, sitting in front of you, and the people who are always invariably very judgmental about you, because I have been different roles. So one role I had was Governor's Chancellor of the University's Governor of Punjab assigned me a responsibility of developing character building. He's developed a consortium that was character building consortium, and I was convener. And the problem, and everyone was focusing that the university students, we have to inculcate values in them. So when we were working on that, I said, no, we don't want to just focus on students. What about the teachers? What about the staff? So we have 3 tiers. Teachers are the role models.
We are there most of the time the students are spending with us. They will learn what we do. And we in psychology don't believe कि आप preach कर दो और आप सीख लो. No, we will have to manifest ourselves in a way which we want you to behave in.
So we said, no, we will cater these 3 tiers. So much ethical breach we see in research publications, in what happens in the classroom. So why not to focus teachers? So I think you people are the torch bearers, and you most probably would learn from us, but also we should be able to learn from you. Each day I learn from my nephew. But what I have seen is with this technology and with these gadgets in your hand, attention span has gone very, very less, very low, which we have to focus on. Number 2 thing is distractibility. You've been distracted, and I myself am being distracted. For example, if you don't see your telephone for maybe half an hour, you must probably see that the word is going to end. What is happening to us? So we have been immensely distracted, which is actually sabotaging our time management, which is of course our leadership characteristics. And another thing which we may have to focus on is 3 types of skills. Varis, I will beg to differ with your point of view and would of course endorse Mohit's point of view. Universities are not the one which are vocational colleges. We have TEPTA, we have all those colleges who are making electricians or plumbers, or, why the universities have to do that, for God's sake? Universities have a ultimate goal to develop something to generate knowledge, which is based on researches, which is generating knowledge and then making policies based on those knowledge. Universities are not, you don't make them schools, you don't make them tapped out, you don't, we are talking about different skills. 3 sets of skills we need. Doesn't matter there is technology or there is whatever revolution takes place. One is soft skills. You need to have communication skills, which is listening, and you definitely have identified them. Confidence, assertiveness, and then to present yourself in an amicable manner. You have to have anger management skills. You must be able to contain your emotions. You must be able to express when desired and hold on. Delayed gratification somebody was talking about. So these are very, very important skills. Even you are highly capable, academic, visionary. If you don't have emotional intelligence, you are zero. So now there are social, then comes the social intelligence. How you interact with other people. How do you relate to them? How do you empathize with them? How they are able to express themselves in front of you. We have parenting styles which are very daunting. I'm sorry to say, we need to train our parents. Because the homes should be the place where a daughter should be able to come and talk to her mother frankly. The son should be able to talk to the father very, very frankly. I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about general youth and young people, this young generation. And then we say there is a gap. I'm not listening to you. Madam ने भी example दी कि उन्होंने कभी अपने colleague को नहीं सुना. उन्हें समझ नहीं आया कि उसका perspective क्या है. We have lots of inhibitions, and we give our opinion without listening to somebody. We jump to the conclusions without having some supportive evidence. So there is always selective perceptions, but we have to be neutral to be a leader. When we come in a leadership positions, we are not representing person 1 or 2 or 3, we are representing everybody. And if I become a vice chancellor, which is of course a leadership position, I don't have to party to anybody. I have to safeguard everybody's, interest. I have to listen to everybody. Maybe before vice chancellorship, I had some personal feeling about somebody. Somebody might not be agreeing with me in certain situations. मैं जब वाइस चांसलर बनी तो एक ग्रुप मेरे पास आया तो उन्होंने कहा मैडम ये मीटिंग होने वाली है तो फैसले क्या करने हैं. मैंने कहा फैसले मैं नहीं करके तो नहीं जाने. We are a conformity culture. Even in these syndicates or in these statutory bodies, we start lobbying and making people's opinion to make certain decisions. Why we are in this state? Why should we be daunted by the discussion and discourse on those platforms and make decisions accordingly? So this is, you should have an approach to be inclusive. Somebody said inclusive. And inclusive should be inclusive in true sense. Right? I can actually talk endlessly, but a couple of things which I wanted to say is, please be self-aware too. Accept other people's criticism. Criticism doesn't mean always negative criticism, it means evaluation. If somebody is criticizing, it means they are giving you some point to improve. Criticism we always take it as an adverse. No, it's not. It's actually critical evaluation, which can be positive, plus and negative. But I have observed in our generation, मुझे खुद भी है कि मेरी गलतियों पे ही नजर जाती है. Even PhD student का thesis भी जाता है, सबसे पहले गलती पे जाती है. But if you look at external reviewer who are foreign, Western, so they would say positive things first. Wonderful, this. At the end of the day, वो कह देंगे कि इसको PhD नहीं मिल सकती. They will disagree, but first they will agree. हम सबसे पहले कहते हैं नहीं. बाद में भले agree भी करना हो, हमारी नहीं सबसे पहले आती है. So this is perhaps we have to be mindful. खालिद साहब ने बड़ी अच्छी बात की कि these things can change. Sometimes we say कि ये इनकी genes में है. And that is a very simple excuse to get away with our behavior, whatever we want to do. This is not it. Behavior can be changed, behavior can be acquired, and behavior can be polished every single moment. And if you decide to be good every single day, you can make it a difference. It would make a difference. Every single day, in the evening, please have a self-reflection. This is a very, very good practice. Madam अभी बात कर रही थी कि don't be full of yourself. Don't think that अभी बात की थी मोहित साहब ने भी कि दूसरों के experience से learn करें. I remember my head of the department and my teacher said I told my daughter don't climb on these window. वो चढ़ती जा रही थी. उसने कहा क्यों? उन्होंने कहा गिर जाओगी. उसने कहा नहीं मैं खुद experience करूँगा. वाकई गिर गई. तो उसने कहा अम्मी आपको कैसे पता था? But she learned. उसने एक्सपीरियंस किया, गिरी, उसके बाद उसे समझ आई कि अम्मी की बात मान लेनी चाहिए थी क्योंकि मैं गिर जाऊंगी. तो ये चीजें कंफर्मिटी से हमें निकलना है. मतलब हमने अनकंडीशनल जो है ना रिस्पेक्ट, उसकी वजह से स्कूलों से लेके कॉलेज तक हम स्टूडेंट को ये एटमॉस्फेयर और कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं देते कि वो टीचर से कोई सवाल पूछ ले, क्वेश्चन कर ले. इंक्विजिटिव नेचर हैज टू बी देयर. Or I'm sure not everybody is for leadership. So you don't worry about to become a leader all the time. Be a good human. And you most probably would, if you are a good human, then definitely you will be a good leader anyway, if you have those traits and if you want to follow that dream to be a leader. So in any position you can take a command. अभी छोटे-छोटे आपके क्लासों में ग्रुप बनते हैं, एक लीड लेता है, दूसरे उसके साथ काम करते हैं. और बाज़ दफ़ा कुछ लोग वो इसलिए भी लीड नहीं लेते कि काम करना पड़ेगा. हार्ड वर्क तो करनी है, कमिटमेंट कम्स फर्स्ट, ओनरशिप कम फर्स्ट. और आखिर में मैं ये कहूँगी प्लीज यूर स्टूडेंट, whichever organization or university you come from, be their ambassador. You are representing Qaeda University, you are representing the way you will behave yourself, that would be generalized on that organization. When you leave this country, be its good ambassador, be good Pakistani. Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for your profound insights and sharing your experiences with us. Now we have an interactive session with the audience, and I would like to ask Khalid Banori Saab to please take over.
Thank you. This process started some days ago. They've been sweating, there've been tears, and now it's time to draw blood, stay back, and that's when we want to talk to the audience and ask for reactions to Gen Z has a certain view on how they should prepare themselves, what to focus on to be effective future leaders in 10 or 20 years from now. Uh, what do the rest of us think? So there were two teams, Qaid-e-Azam and Air University, but I am aware that there are some Gen Z representatives from other universities or other entities. I think that the first opportunity should go to them. Do you have anyone having a different view on what has already been said? Can we start with you, Anna?
First of all, I just wanted to say that all of the points were really good with all the teams. And all of those attributes should be in a leader. But something that wasn't mentioned was remaining humble, that I think is also very important. And like I was researching this a few days ago as well. And I came, like, obviously she's a very renowned person, but I came across Malala, who's a very prominent leader, especially in Pakistani female society. And she has raised a lot of awareness about like our community and everything. And despite winning a Nobel Prize and all the recognition that she's gotten that is rightfully deserved, she still remains humble and recognizes experiences of other like underprivileged females in Pakistani societies as well. So that is another very important factor. And another, I think it was you who said that coming up with a vision is very important for a leader. But like, I feel as if the steps towards that vision is far more important that a leader should implement. Because anybody can come up with a vision that can be really good for an organization, a business, for example. Employees can come up with something, but the leader is the one who has to like create steps to get to that place.
Anyone else want to give it a go? Gen Z? That's the first priority that we have. Yes, please. There you go.
Thank you. My name is Amira Adil. A lot of people tag me as a leader, even though I don't call myself a leader. So a little bit about me is that I'm the co-chair for Women in Energy Pakistan. I'm one of the founders of Youth Climate Activists Pakistan, and I'm the founder of Climate Foresight Pakistan. And until recently, I was the head of sustainability at NUST as well. But one thing that I've and I was talking about this yesterday with someone about Mirza Ghalib. If Mirza Ghalib was to exist in this day and age, he would not be accepted in society. So a lot of the leaders, the young leaders we have in Pakistan face this unacceptance or this lack of acceptability by society. So that is something that Gen Z and millennials and other people as well here can work towards by creating this acceptability of other people, accepting other people as they are and letting them do their thing, because we all have something to add to society. But we can't let social norms and traditions and things go to such extremes that we don't let them contribute positively to society. Thank you.
When we were discussing this idea, one of the things that Shantha and I discussed was we all understand and accept that generations think differently. The boomers think differently, the millennials have their own outlook, Z and Alpha, even between Z and Alpha, there are various views. So I think it's important that we at least see views of the parents who actually might have different views from their children. I will take the liberty with some people that I know. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Dr. Ishtiaq. Dr. Ishtiaq, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan chair at Oxford University for 4 years, and a leader who transformed as Vice Chancellor at Sargodha University. He's also been member of the Planning Commission. And the Gen Z rap that we heard recently is his daughter. So, what do you think? Are there differences, Dr. Saab, that you have with, your own children, or how did you see the Gen Z in your university space?
Well, Khalid, thank you for the opportunity, and it's also a privilege that Ikram Sehgal Saab's, contribution in the beginning. I have read him for a very, very long time, and I think he has contributed a lot to the discourse on security issues in Pakistan, at least I remember for the past 30 years. So it's a great privilege. Thank you so much. Well, obviously, I'll speak about a few P's, based upon my own humble experience in life. And during this time, I have primarily dealt with the youth. You see, the reason we are talking about these different gens is because in the past 2-3 decades, thanks to this internet revolution, life has become speedy, and it is becoming speedier with the passing of time. So our focus has been our generation and then the Gen Zs. But then we also wonder that Gen Z and Alpha also have a relationship, and the issues which this generation has may be far more important, and then subsequently, and these span will squeeze with the passage of time, because the enormity of information and the possibilities of change are right before us. So one of my concluding points would be that I think times for moral lecturing by one generation to the other are over. And sometimes we hear, us lecturing the younger ones not willing to listen. And this is a point which Mueed also raised in the beginning. So the reason I say that is that my own observation in urban setting in Pakistan, in modern societies outside Pakistan, for several years, and in a semi-urban, largely rural setting in the heart of Punjab. My understanding is that every generation that is next is better than the previous one. And I think leadership is a big terminology actually. We come into these jargons. And the person who concluded the discussion from Air University, whose presentations really, comparatively speaking, I found very fascinating, Adil, he concluded with the word called unique. You see? Now, unique tells us about our traits as individuals. And I think individuality is something that really counts, and this is something which we need to focus upon. My second point would be about the paradox, and I'll list 5 P's for you, because at least 4 P's are something that are drawn upon from my own experience, especially in leadership position. They might not be relevant to the younger guys here. So one is a paradox. You see, the paradox in Pakistan is between black and white. When we sit and talk, we talk in ways that we are the custodians of the highest values. But next morning when we operate in a completely different circumstances. This is precisely because the conflict in society and politics has grown so massively in the local situation that this dichotomy or paradox has to take place. So here is the Gen Z's issue. Gen Z's paradox is that much of their activity and information gathering and even knowledge is in the cyberspace. Cyberspace is a global space, but their actual life, the reality they live in, full of conflict, is the physical space. So this contradiction and paradox you can imagine. This physical space constrains their leadership abilities. This cyberspace, the global one, it empowers their leadership abilities, all the traits that we talk about. So one is the paradox, and I think we have contributed massively to the creation and sustenance of this conflict in society. And I think we should shut our mouths and let everything, they will learn all the attributes by themselves. And this is a personal family experience that we've got, and I've reached the conclusion that it was wrong on my part as a father to dictate, especially to the eldest one who is abroad. And I really hesitate now to say anything, because the moment I cross the boundary and enter into this lecturing, that conversation on the telephone is over. Now, let me give you the four P's, the other P's. And I think this paradox, whether immigration controls outside prohibit Pakistanis to travel abroad, I think we should not scare the audience or the Gen Zs that this is the something restrictive environment globally will come in before you. You are never sure, So one point I would say, I'm sorry, I'll just conclude in 2 minutes, is that we need to think, not us, our time is over. The Gen Zs or the Alpha, and we do not need to tell them, they automatically will to perceiving themselves as global citizens. It's not about being Pakistani anymore or being South Asian anymore. If the global space is the space that is futuristic, then obviously we need to think ourselves, especially the younger lot, away from these narrow ethnic, religious, regional, nationalistic, patriotic considerations and move into a domain which is compatible with the emerging realities of our time. So, 4 P's are in leadership. One is passion. I think without passion, you cannot, follow up on the other 2 threes. The other 2 threes, 1 P that has 2 P's further is patience and persistence, which basically means perseverance. It takes time to achieve something, but finally, in leadership, obviously insight and foresight matters, but final quality or attribute in leadership is precision. Because if you have complete faith, if your entire quest is being driven by values, then obviously when the time comes for a decision, it has to be precise. You cannot show any kind of lachak which a patronage-driven culture imposes upon you in societies like Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've had understanding from various aspects, primarily related to academia. But I would be missing if I did not try to understand it from the corporate point of view. How do you actually put leadership into practice? So it is my proud privilege to request Kabir Sidhu Saab to tell us, who heads the competition commission, tell us what is his view on leadership, how effective leaders can be created. Are they born or can they be created? Anything that you could tell us.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Kabir Sidhu. First of all, I would like to pay massive tribute to Ikram Sehgal Saab. Rarely I come across people who actually become very wealthy, become very successful, and then they decide to give it back to the society. I'd heard about this phenomenon back in UK and other countries where people become extremely wealthy and successful, and then they decide to give the wealth back and to the society and to the young generation. On the last occasion, he said, uh, "My time is limited. It's over to you now. I pray to God, may Allah give you long life and you continue this activity and this gathering that you hold." It was only, it seems like yesterday that I left Pakistan. I was only 18 years of age. My father had passed away. My father was an Alim Deen. I was about your age group, and I reached to UK, and I was completely lost as to how I'm going to find my path. Even when I was 13, 14, I was beginning to wonder as to where life is going to take me. My father was ill. I was the youngest child. All my brothers were settled, moved on in life. And I went to one of my neighbor. He was about 75, 80 years of age. So he told me two sentences. He said, first of all, you have to figure out your destination, and then you have to figure out your direction to that destination. I'm sorry I've missed the previous theme of this event. So I have my own, understanding of leadership. I'll just simply explain that. So that remained in my mind for a long period of time, and I ended up in UK. Now, I was living there without parents, no father, no mother. They were home, of course, they were in Pakistan. So I had to put life together piece by piece, bit by bit. I had to find my way. There were many models in front of me. There were guys who were driving a nice car and simply working. There were other people who were simply focused on education. I was completely lost. And I had to read bits and bobs, and I was looking for signs. I would look for debates. I was grieving as well. And I remember I was grieving one day, and I was really, really down. And I watched this debate on the TV. And the debate, this person was interviewing this black guy, and he said to him, he said, so tell us a little bit about yourself. And he said, I grew up in a state home. Now, the state home is a horrible place in UK. Horrible things happen to young people. And he said, so this is how he developed something, some entrepreneurship at the time. So that gave me a little bit of comfort. I said, gosh, this guy actually grew up in a state home, and look how far he's made it to. So bit by bit, I started to put my life together, and it just seemed like yesterday that I was your age group, and it's not been long ago that I left the campus. I did my PhD, and I spent something like 10 years on the campus. I lived across the road from the university. I went to Manchester University. I did my undergraduate, postgrad, master's, PhD, postdoctorate, and I taught at the same university. I lived away. I was like part of the campus. I would meet dozens and hundreds of young people like you. People I would try and find as to what skills they have. For example, two young kids stand out in my mind, and they were from villages, local villages, and they were two white kids. And I looked at them and I thought they had something special. And I tried to talk to them, and I tried to figure out. He said, well, my mother and father have raised hundreds of children. They would get this help from the state. So sometimes the parents do things, and that result is passed on to the next generation. And I noticed that they actually go to sleep at about 7, 8 o'clock, and whilst the rest of the crowd is waking, going to sleep at 4 a.m. after partying the entire night, they're waking up at 5 a.m. and they just get down to their life. They go to gym, and the rest of the life starts. So throughout my career at the university, I put together a small list of things. I came across people who had talent in them, and I could see from a mile that I met my barber, his son from Iraq, asylum seeker, a top mathematician, ended up in Cambridge. He had top grades in A-levels. I could see from a mile that he was going to become a mathematician. Over the time, I followed his career, and I noticed that he became a quant. Quant is people who actually have mathematics and I think economics together. I'm not 100% as to what he followed, but he became a quant with the investment bank, got a very good job. Then I came across my carpet fitter. His daughter also ended up in Cambridge. And I talked to her and I tried to figure out as to what skills she has. And I was doing this activity for my own daughter and my children, trying to see as to what I can pass on to them. So there is talent. I think most of you should know that if you have talent, you would know that. I mean, if I was in UK and I was talking about these things, I would say any of you can become a singer or a footballer. That's a talent because they get paid a huge amount of money. Any of you would know that if you're an economist, mathematician, physicist, you have the skill for that and you're naturally talented in that. The alternative is creating a skill. In terms of creating a skill, I think all of us actually follow a certain path. We become economist or mathematician or pursue medicine or become lawyers or so I think that's where you have to figure out that if you're going to follow the career progression or career advice is missing. So from early age onward, for example, in UK it costs a lot of money. If somebody goes to university, it costs £100,000. So people just follow the degree. I noticed I talked to young people who are about 21, 22 years of age, and they didn't have a clue as to what they wanted to do. But they had done a degree in social sciences and so on and so forth. On the other hand, I talked to some students and they knew exactly what they wanted to do before they started their degree. They knew exactly where they wanted to go. And then later on I figured out from doing research in the corporate sector that the companies who have their motto and their ambition written on their website and they know exactly, sometimes young people write their motto on the wall as to where they're going, they are far more successful than those who are trying to figure out. So I think you should write, I would say this to young people in UK, my students, I would say to them that you should write your business model. What is your business model as to where you heading towards? If you're studying economics, what's your next step? And where do you see yourself in terms of in the next 5 years? So starting with super habits, I think anybody who wants to progress to become leader, they need to identify the super habits. When I was 14 years of age, my father told me about this phenomenon. I was completely lost. I didn't have a clue as to what is super habit. What I did know was that going to gym every day was a super habit. Reading 10 hours a day was a super habit. So I picked up 2 habits from age 10, 14 onwards, and I carried on for the rest of my life. I work out every day almost, and I read books every day. I wish I knew at the time that going to sleep on time and waking up early in the morning is also a super habit. You know, praying is also a super habit, and so on and so forth. But I think from your age perspective and from where you want to head towards, you need to identify what are your super habits and how you're going to bring them part of your life. Another point I would like to build on is some people have very high IQ level. Others have high EQ and others have SQ level, very high social quotient. So that's IQ, EQ and SQ. From my experience of looking at the corporate leaders, people who had very high emotional intelligence, they made it to the top. Not to say those who had high IQ level, they didn't make it to the top. Anyway, I think that's something that you should focus on, IQ, EQ and SQ. I have a long list of super habits I wanted to talk to you about. I think one of them is vision, focus and priorities. Each one of you should know exactly where your priority is. And the focus is absolute must wherever you want to head towards. I think adaptability, passion, discipline, proactiveness, optimism, passion, patience, time management, decisiveness. Some of the books that I read, these were the super habits that were talked about. Another book that changed my life was The One Thing. There's a book called The One Thing. He talks about that he pursued one thing in life. He let go of everything. So from my analysis for the last 20 years, I came across people who pursued one thing and they made it right to the top. Another book I would like everyone else to read is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He's got a small speech on YouTube. I think you should all listen to that. There's another book that I read, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I think that's another book to read. I can list a whole host of books, and I can talk about each one of these super habits that I would like you to have. But it'll be very thematic and normative and theoretical, unless I give example. Time is short, and I've just been told that I should end my speech. Maybe for the next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And now, as we're coming to the close of the event, I would like to introduce you to the CEO of the Providentia Books Foundation, Brigadier Mujahid Alam, retired. He is a distinguished expert in international security, peacekeeping, and governance with over 50 years of experience at national and international levels. He served in the Pakistan Army for 32 years, holding key positions such as Brigade Commander, Chief of Staff at Corps Headquarters, and military attaché to the UK and Sweden. He contributed to post-conflict rehabilitation, peace negotiations, and the UN Arms Trade Treaty discussions, and he was a member of the UN International Commission of Inquiry on Rwanda. In education sector, he served as the principal of Lawrence College, Murray from 2013 to 2024, focusing on academic excellence and character development. Please welcome Brigadier Mujahid Ali.
Thank you very much, Sarish. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This has really been a fascinating session. And I personally have greatly enjoyed being present here. And I must say right at the outset that I am greatly impressed by the talent, the confidence, and the knowledge displayed by the young generation, the young women and men from the two universities who are participating here and who are the future leaders of our beautiful country. My faith, trust, and hope increases manifold whenever I interact with the younger generation. And this has been further solidified and confirmed by today's session. I believe that your generation is the most important generation of Pakistan after the first generation that included the founders of Pakistan. And why do I say this? I say this because we are, as a country and as a society, are facing unprecedented challenges. This is one reason. The second reason is because of the revolutionary developments in science, technology, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, space, medicine, never ever seen before by mankind. And also because of the speed of development that is taking place. Almost every day, every week, every month, one hears and witnesses something new being developed. That is why I say that your generation actually is the most important generation after the first generation of Pakistan. You all are living in a special time of your life. The choices you make, the habits you form, and the goals you set will shape the rest of your life's journey. It is very important to remember this. And I would like to explain this a little bit with a powerful analogy from Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, where Brutus says to Cassius, "There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken on the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted all the voyage of their life, is bound in shallows and in miseries. This is something very, very important to understand. That there is a tide in the affairs of everyone, all of you present here also. You have to seize the moment and act decisively according to the tide that you are riding. It is about recognizing and taking advantage of opportunities when they arise. All of you are riding, the students of university, you are actually riding the first tide of your life. And you must understand and recognize this important fact. You see, this powerful analogy is very relevant, and there are many examples of this to learn from. And an excellent example is actually sitting here in this hall with us, and that is Mr. Ikram Sehgal. And the reason I say this is that there was a tide in his life. In 1977, he recognized and identified this tide at that time. He took the opportunity and founded the Pathfinder Private Limited. From 1977 till today, the journey has not stopped for him. The tide or the flood, high flood, has not stopped for him. Then came 1987 and 1990 and 91. And each time he recognized and understood and identified the tide. And today, where we are also sitting, Pathfinder Group, with over 12,000 employees and represented in 71 cities and towns of Pakistan, is one of undoubtedly one of the best organizations, commercial organizations of Pakistan. And you see, these are the examples. He built this company, this group from scratch. At that time, the difficulties or the problems that he faced, only he knows. But he did not give up any hope. He understood what needs to be done and did it with determination. Now, your time in university, as I said, is like the tide. Please do understand that this is a crucial period where you can either seize opportunities for learning, leadership, and growth, or drift aimlessly and miss out on potential success. Seeing your performance, all of you, from both the universities, I know that you have already seized the opportunity. You have the potential also. And your future is full of potential. You have, आप सब में वो सलाहियत है, वो काबिलियत है, वो अहलियत है आप सब में. But please do also remember that potential is just the starting point. It is not the end. Potential is the starting point. Now, what will turn this potential for you into reality? It is going to be your determination. कि आपने पुरअज़म रहना है, आपने साबित कदम रहना है. Your work ethic, कि आपके काम की अखलाकियात क्या है, and your vision for the life you want to create. Please remember, this is very, very important. Your vision for the life you want to create. क्या नजरिया है, बसीरत क्या है, the purpose of your life. And the purpose of your life, I would like to just explain. There is a profound saying of Mark Twain. You may have heard of him. One of the most celebrated writer and author, American, humorist also. And he had said the two most important days in your life, of your life, are the day you were born and the day you find out why. The two most important days, the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. And as you grow up, as you get educated, as you see the world, a time will come or must come for each and every one of you present here, that you must find out the reason why. What is the purpose of your life? आपका मकसद हयात क्या है? Or everyone will come to his or her own answer to this question. But once you come, you find out the answer, you think about it seriously, then there is nothing stopping you from success. And when I talk of success, I mean your contribution towards society and your country. It is not individual success for you. Of course, individual success will be there for you. But the real success lies in your contribution to society and the country. That is something which is very, very important. Now, this powerful statement of Mark Twain actually emphasizes the significance of existence and also of self-discovery. It represents the moment you uncover your true calling or reason for being. And it is a reminder to seek meaning and live intentionally. The other thing that I would like to emphasize is that always be an optimist. Always. I call myself that I am an incorrigible optimist. And the reason I say is that a true leader can never be a pessimist. And if you study the lives of leaders, ancient and contemporary, you will not come across a single successful leader in any field who was a pessimist. Each and every one of those leaders was an optimist, had a positive state of mind, had a positive mindset, had positive thinking. That is something very, very important. And this fact has been verified repeatedly, confirmed and verified repeatedly by history, you see. And having a positive mindset is one of the most important qualities or ingredient of a true leader. The other thing is that a true leader should never be prejudiced or biased. Never have any biases, never have any prejudice. तासुब जिसे कहते हैं वो किसी किस्म का तासुब नहीं होना चाहिए. Whether it is towards an ethnicity, a linguistic group, religion, sect, nationality, anything. Because taasub jo hai, that does the maximum damage to an individual's personality. And without realizing it, you end up not as a successful person, but as a failure. Also, My advice to you is that you should be prepared to shun and avoid prejudice or bias or rigid mindset or bigotry. Bigotry is also prevalent, in our society. Unfortunately, it's present everywhere in all societies. But you have to be mindful of this thing. I am reminded of a saying which I read a long time back, that the mind of the bigot is like the pupil of the eye. The mind of the bigot is like the pupil of the eye. The more light you throw on it, the more it contracts. A leader can never be bigoted. And this can be further illustrated by a very important, a profound saying of Friedrich Nietzsche, the famous German philosopher. And he had said, the snake which does not cast its skin has to die, and so does the mind. And so does the mind. As you all know that snakes, they shed their skin, cast their skin. Some of them, some of the breeds, they cast their skin every year. Some cast their skin twice a year, 3 times. Some snakes cast their skin 5 times in a year also. And what this means is that you have to be, it's a very powerful metaphor for lifelong learning, adaptability, and the courage to let go of outdated beliefs or habits. That is something very, very important. That, like the snake, the mind should also be prepared to shed and cast outdated beliefs and any kind of prejudice or bias. The last point that I want to make is that please do read and get to know about famous leaders by reading their biographies or autobiographies. Leaders like Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. You know that he was the founding father of Singapore, which is a city-state only. Just a city. From one end to the other end, if you travel, you can travel in 1 hour. But he and his compatriots, they have turned Singapore into an economic powerhouse, a knowledge powerhouse today. Leaders like Lee Kuan Yew, the leaders, Chinese leaders of the Long March and their independence movement, Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, Deng Xiaoping, and also another leader who is one of my favorites, but very few people have heard of him, and that is General Nguyen Giap of Vietnam. General Giap of Vietnam is considered to be one of the greatest military strategists, a contemporary. He fought the Japanese occupation. He defeated the French colonial power at the famous Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1954. And this battle was the decisive battle which broke the back of French colonialism in Indochina, resulted in independence for Vietnam and also the other countries that France had colonized. General Giap is very relevant when you read him even today. His qualities as a person, as a human being, and as a leader. And of course, there are other leaders that I would advise you. These are the Algerian leaders of their war of independence from 1954 to 1962. Of course, one should never ever forget Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a leader of unimpeachable integrity, and of course others. You see, one mistake that many of us make is that we read or follow only the Western leaders. The Western leaders were also good, many of them. Abraham Lincoln was a wonderful leader. Winston Churchill was a good leader for the British. For the British, he was a good leader, but he was a very controversial leader also. So my advice to you, the younger generation, is please do read the leaders that I have also, some of the leaders that I have named. Lastly, I would like to thank each and every one of you, the younger generation, the students, as well as, of course, the senior participants, the experienced participants here, for all your contribution. I would also like to thank Air Commodore Khalid Banuri and his team for organizing and conducting such a wonderful event with their usual efficiency and dedication. And I would also like to thank Sarish for conducting this whole event in such a wonderful way, and the other young women, Amna and Rabia, who also facilitated this. Thank you very much indeed. And above all, on behalf of everyone present, I would like to acknowledge and express our sincere thanks and gratitude to Mr. Ikram Sehgal, the chairman, for his excellent initiative and facilitating such an important event for the younger generation. This event, this initiative can truly be termed as a landmark event. And a landmark event, as you all know, is always a game changer. It is a remarkable contribution from his side, and I would definitely like to thank you very much, sir, for all this contribution. Thank you all for your patience. It's been a wonderful evening, a wonderful session. Thank you very much.